Conspiracies, government cover-ups, Earth mysteries, monster cryptids.
Hospital Porter's Pride and Dignity. Stop the New World Order. Welcome to HPANWO TV and welcome to this, the 89th reply to comments video. This is the video in which I get to reply to your comments, hence the title. The reason I make these videos is I don't have time to reply to everyone by text, although I feel obliged to reply to comments people leave me, because a lot of people leave comments on this very popular channel, and some of them are very heartfelt, thoughtful, and asking me direct questions. Now you may think to yourself, well, this is no good, Ben. I only want to reply to one comment. I'm not going to watch a 9-hour video to get a reply to one comment. Well, you don't have to, because underneath the comment I'm replying to, I will actually state exactly where within the video to the nearest hour I will be replying to your video. So also, let's face it, my reply to comments videos are no longer 9 hours. They used to be, because I used to do them less often. Now I try to do them every 2 weeks or so they're much shorter. They're usually 2 to 3 hours. Another reason I do these reply to comments videos is I enjoy doing them, and you, the viewers, seem to enjoy them too. I know a lot of you watch them all the way through, so that's why I do them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight to the last comment I got before basically the one after the one I last replied in the last reply to comments video, and it is on, as usual, it is on the last reply to comments video. It's reply to comments 88, and it's Retro Darren, and he says "Uno," as in uno, which I believe is Italian. It means one, and of course because he's the first, I suppose that's what it means. Same video. Christy Morland says, Ben, what happened to Gareth Davis? Did you end up getting the C-word vaccines? C-word being the disease that's been sweeping. So after what happened to Gareth Davis, did you end up getting the C-word vaccine? That is the C-word being the disease that's sweeping the world. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Now a lot of people have said this. I mean, have said, well, isn't this kind of like proof that you're wrong, that this disease can kill, and therefore for that reason you should be getting the V-word to protect you from this disease. Well, I see. I've actually lost several people I know to this disease, and I do believe the disease exists. However, the treatment for this disease also comes with enormous risks, and I believe these risks are deliberate. The fact of the matter is, some people do succumb to this disease, especially if they have existing health problems, as Gareth did. You can be more vulnerable to this disease than others. I would say for most people, I think that you should not worry. I mean, I'm not worried about this. I've had this illness at least twice, probably a third time, although it wasn't confirmed the third time. And it was like a particularly bad dose of the flu. If you have existing health problems which may weaken you or make you more vulnerable to this disease, you should take steps to protect yourself by avoiding infected people, washing your hands, things like that. But on no account should you succumb to some kind of global tyranny that forces you to shut your business and stay in your homes and have medication against your will. So, I did not. I don't apologise for what I've said or done regarding this, and I don't think Gareth's fate changes my opinion in any way about this. And I don't think he would want me to. I think he entered into this same decision that I did with full knowledge of the possible risks he was taking. And I think, like me, he believed that this treatment probably wouldn't provide the protection it promised, and would have a lot of other health problems associated with it, possibly deliberate. So after what happened, no, I didn't. DJ B2 says on reply to comments 88, hey Ben, if you do not see me in the live stream chatting, it's because YouTube banned me from live stream chats. Oh, DJ, really? So you're allowed to post comments on my videos, but you can't post live stream. You can't post in live stream. Now I don't understand why that is. I don't understand why that would be. Because if you can post comments underneath, the various videos, the uploads and the recordings of the live streams, you should also be able to post in the live chat. So I don't know why that is. Goodness, YouTube are crazy. They really, really are. Ben Mates, says Gary Robinson. Hello, Ben, mate. I also thought that Ex Machina was a good movie. In fact, I think it's time for a rewatch. For me, the thing that made the recent Blade Runner influenced films, including Zoe and Foe, rather disturbing was the fact they avoided any visual effects, which actually made them feel more realistic. Despite ripping off Blade Runner's core ideas, I really liked the way they took the concept further by having you invest in the characters, only to find out they were replicants and didn't even know it. Cheers, right? Gary, I've not seen those films, and of course there's many films that are inspired by others. You know, definitely, Ex Machina had a bit of Blade Runner in it for sure. But Ex Machina was a good film, yeah, really good film. But I haven't seen those others. There's this other film going around about the moment about this sort of I forgot what it's called now, but my daughter went to see it and said it was a good film. Hang on, she's texted me and told me, what is it? This thing's called Poor Things. Right, let's have a look. The Poor Things, yeah. There's this film called The Poor Things, which is like a Frankenstein story about the resurrection of a corpse. She said it was pretty good. It sounds pretty disturbing to me. But, I haven't seen the trailer. Gary Robinson said, you mentioned that writer who lived in Parsons Green. I've not thought about that place for many years. I used to work there in the early zeros back in the day when I was a web developer. Some mornings I would see Dirty Den from EastEnders in the train station. And on a number of occasions, when I would run to the corner shop for a drink, I'd bump into Rick Astley, who I assumed lived in the area. He's never going to give it up, Gary. I also remember being on my lunch break one day and I noticed a Porsche pulled over by the side of the road. The window opens and it was Goldie and a girl from one of the James Bond movies. He saw me and pulled over to say hello. Good times, although it was an insanely long commute. I can't believe I actually did that 5 days a week. All right. Oh, bloody Parsons. I don't remember talking about a writer from Parsons Green. But I don't know. Who knows? I mean, my memory's not perfect, Gary. But yeah. But it's funny you bump into people who like celebrities and things like that. Have I met any celebrities? I met someone called Jessie Wallace. Now Gary probably knows who this is. For the rest of you, it's the actress who plays Kat Slater in EastEnders. I was actually stuck in a lift with her just for a few minutes, but we were at. I went to Kingston upon Thames to make a video actually that I later deleted for legal reasons. But we were in this lift in a shopping centre. It was one of those open-sided lifts, so you could see out. And this woman walked in with a pushchair, a little baby in, and I looked at her and I thought she looked familiar. And I realised it was her. It was Jessie Wallace, and the lift sort of started moving. I just smiled at her and everything, and then it stopped, and it only stopped for about 3 or 4 minutes. We had a little bit of a conversation. It was a bit awkward actually because she kept looking at me and smiling as if I was about to say, "Oh, Kat, Kat, from EastEnders." I didn't. I mean, the problem there would be is the conversation would inevitably lead on to, "Oh, so do you enjoy the programme?" she would say to me. And then I would be in a difficult position. I'd be in a very awkward position. I could either lie and be polite and say, yeah, it's cool, yeah, not bad. Or I could be honest and tell the truth and say, I think your programme is mental and cultural sewage and you should be ashamed of yourself for being an actress in it. For this reason, I pretended not to recognise her. We just had a conversation about sort of trivial things, and then the lift started moving, and I said, "See you then," and that was it. Yeah. I mean, she's a nice-looking lady, I must say. But it's obviously she's going to be in a program. I mean, I just say to these people who go, can't they do something better? I mean, how long's she been in it now? She's been in it for years. Can't she get in a movie or something, or go and do a tour with a theatre company? I mean, why be in this horrible, disgusting piece of demoralising mind control? Why give her talents to serve the devil? Gary Robinson again. Ben, mate, the reason I thought you would like that UFO track by Photech is because he uses the Rendlesham Forest recordings in the track to great effect. Cheers. He does actually. I did listen to the rest of it, Gary, and I think it's quite a good tune. It has like Colonel Holt's messages. Now, what's interesting is that Colonel Holt didn't seem to object to that because he's made it very, very clear that the other. Well, I won't name the I won't name the individual, but someone else is making a film about Rendlesham Forest right now, and Holt has contacted him and say, "You're not to even mention my name, use my image, or have anything to do with that recording of mine." So they've had to basically recreate the recording with an actor imitating his voice, which they do very well. Actually, they reproduce it almost to the point where you wouldn't know that it was not Holt. So, but he doesn't seem to mind this Photech person using his recording. So yeah, I didn't even know that Holt owned the copyright on that. But I suppose technically it's his because he made it. He made it into a dictaphone. Okay, Gin Skim Pivot. Oh my God, we're in trouble. It's the Apollo Detectives 13 new Sea Rock evidence. Oh dear. I'll put this here, Ben, as it's Apollo material, and so you're not repeatedly answering stuff on your own response videos. Happy New Year! Oh, Happy New Year to you too, Gin, and that actually is quite helpful, I must say. Your Thomas Barron response. Many accidents occur on railway crossings when drivers try to beat the train. Barron had his family in the car, and the Florida Highway Patrol determined the tragedy was an accident. Yes. Gin, I'm sure they did. Just like when Diana crashed in the tunnel, there was nothing wrong at all. And all the traffic cameras, well, they were all off. Just a coincidence, nothing to worry about. The white Fiat Uno that could not be traced in a city with all those CCTV cameras. Well, that's just bad luck, isn't it, Gin? Yeah. Barron worked for North American Aviation and had already given testimony to a congressional committee before his death. He did flag relevant safety concerns, but he was discredited at the committee by a fellow former NAA employee whom Barron had named as a reliable source. Subsequently, most of Barron's sometimes verbose critiques practices at NAA were found to be sourced to third-hand hearsay, anonymous phone calls and speculation. Barron was fired by NAA for leaking his report to the media. So he was a whistleblower, technically, wasn't he? Yeah. Barron worked for NAA, was reporting on NAA work practices, and at his death in 1967 had no link whatsoever to NASA decision-making and the Apollo moon landings. Oh, really? That's not what I heard. I don't actually have the information to reply to that right now, Gin. But I don't think that's the case. I think he was actually connected to Apollo 1. Your Bill Casing response, the YouTube video titled Bill Casing Interview Never Broadcast, host channel, The Fullerton Informer. Timestamp 9 minutes 20 seconds. Thank you very much, I'll look that up. I could do that now actually, Bill. Let's have a look. Bill Casing Interview Never Broadcast. I'll look that up. 9 minutes 20 seconds, okay. 9 minutes 20 seconds. Have a look.
Was sort of a roar.
Okay, I don't know how much of this I can actually put on the display because there must be a simple way to get this frame to fit the bloody screen. Oh, that's it. Not projector preview scaling, scale to window, scale to. Oh, I don't know how this. I don't even know how this works. Canvas. What if I do that? No. This is really annoying. I mean, this is my fault, Ben. Yes, I know it's my fault. I know it's my fault because I could work this out very easily if I could very easily work this out if I could. I could very easily work this out just quite simply if I could be bothered, but I can't bloody be bothered. I know, yeah. All right. Anyway, you can see a bit of him there, can't you? You can hear him. That's the main thing.
Coming from the Simi Hills, and a lot of smoke coming up, but that's all they knew.
I can hardly hear the guy interviewing him, but this is what's it called here? Host channel, The Fullerton Informer. No, it's called Confronting Conspiracies. Well, I'll see with them.
Well, after I quit Rocketdyne, I became a freelance writer. I got a book contract, and needing a good place to live, my wife and I bought a 75-foot Coast Guard cutter, which had been converted to living aboard. Well, there were a lot of homeless people near where we stayed at the Oakland Marina, so we invited them to come and stay on the boat. After all, it was 75 feet long, lots of room. So one of the men was a Vietnam veteran with a heroin habit. His name was John Grant. And he said, "Bill, the government really screwed me. They taught me how to kill. They sent me to Vietnam.
Oh, yes,
I
this
killed
is
a
it.
lot of innocent people. He says, I'm very bitter at this corrupt government. He said, you're a writer. Why don't you write something outrageous like, say, we never went to the moon? And that's exactly where I got the idea, from John Grant in 1974 at the Oakland Marina. Prior to that time, I, like almost everybody else in the United States, believed that we went to the moon.
What gave you the first suspicion that the flights were fraudulent?
Well, that's interesting. That's Jin. That's very strange. I mean, what's strange about that? That's very strange. What's strange there is, yeah, Bill says it gave me the idea. This Vietnam veteran was very bitter about how he'd been treated, like many Vietnam veterans were. And then so that gave me the idea in 1974. Before that, I believed in the moon landings. That's very, very strange. So when this guy gave him the idea, and Bill says, I believed in the moon landings before then, that doesn't make sense. Why didn't he say something like, I've always believed the moon landings were real, but when this guy gave me the idea to write this book pretending I didn't believe the moon landings? So it doesn't quite fit, does it? It doesn't quite fit. Well, thank you anyway for giving me a reference to that. I'm very surprised I hadn't heard that before. You can hear Ralph Renee in the background talking to Bill. Funnily enough, Ralph then moves on to a completely different subject. You may not be able to hear, but he said he moves on to a completely separate. What was it again? Let's have a listen.
The first suspicion came when I flew to
that's
Las
it.
Vegas.
What made you suspicious? That's what the moon landings might be faked. So that's very odd, Bill. Because Jin. That's very odd because Bill says something there that should be. If I'd been Ralph Renee, I'd have said to him, "Wait a minute, Bill. You said that gave you the idea to write the book, something outrageous that would smear the government." So are you saying, Bill, that you believe the moon landings were real? Because then afterwards, Bill says, before that, I believed the moon landings were real. So Bill's essentially saying, it sounds like he's saying two things here. He's confessing what it sounds on one level like he's confessing to making the whole thing up, that the moon landings are real, and well, that's just Bill just making this up. But then he moves on to say, yes, but before that I believed the moon landings were real. I don't know. Let's look up North American aviation anyway and find out its relationship to NASA. North American aviation, here we go, was a major aerospace manufacturer that designed and built notable aircraft and spacecraft. The second stage of the Saturn V rocket, Space Shuttle Orbiter. What? All right. I thought you said, hang on a sec, Jin, you say here, Barron worked for NAA and given testimony to the Congressional Committee. He red flagged safety concerns which discredited by a committee. Because then he says something that sounds like he leaks stuff to the media. So he was sacked by the NAA for leaking his report to the media. Why would NAA not publish it? Why did NAA not publish it? Because it was discredited? So in that case, why did Barron sacrifice his career and then later, well, possibly his life? Barron worked for NAA, reporting on NAA work practices, and at his death he had no link whatsoever to NASA decision-making in the Apollo moon landings. Right. Well, it says here it was founded in 1928. It's a very old company. And, post-war years. Created the Apollo 7 mission spacecraft, Space Shuttle Orbiter. All right. Well, I don't have the information to quite then, but anyway, I'll move on from there. Jin continues his comment. As to lacunas, that's gaps in memory. Yeah, I've just outlined a couple of rather large ones in the output of most Apollo hoax believers who still frequently cite Barron and casing as key evidence. Well, you've made a claim about both of those guys. You made a claim that Barron had nothing to do with Apollo 1. You've also said that Bill Casing confessed to making the whole thing up, which again, to be honest, it feels like he's about to do that, but then he kind of like backtracks and then just carries on. It's a bit ambiguous about what he actually means. There are no gaps whatsoever in the moon landing timelines. There is a complete continuity of evidence, no flouting of physics, not one crumb of any mission contains anything that doesn't have a rational and fact-based explanation. Right, well, after 13 Apollo detectives videos, Jin, you know I don't agree with that. And I could give you... You don't cite any specific examples here, otherwise I could try and give you one. And just to make a hat-trick of embarrassing hoax lacunas, why has Cabral never mentioned his chosen star witness, Casing, was given a hoax idea 11 years after he left Rocketdyne? It wasn't any confession, as you put it. It was part of Cabral's original evidence gathering. He just chose to leave the origin of Casing's claims right out of how he would present Casing henceforth. Hey? It was a confession, wasn't it? Or it was a half confession. And Cabral never mentions his chosen star witness. I know. Bart mentions Bill several times. He does it several times. How he will present Casing henceforth. And he mentions Bill several times. I mean, are you saying that he doesn't put Bill in as a for the necessary citations when maybe he should? Strange denial logic. Barron never mentioned any NASA hoax ambitions, and he was murdered. Hang on, let's just look him up, shall we? Let's look up Thomas Ronald Barron. See if he's got a wiki page. Thomas Barron. Let's have a look. Thomas. Oh, here we are. Born Wilkes-Barre. Where's that? It's in Pennsylvania. Attended Liberty, High School, etc. Born 1938. Initially employed by U.S. Air Force, stationed at Eglin Air Force Base, was later hired as a quality control inspector with Northam Aviation, the prime NASA contractor for constructing the Apollo spaceship. I thought you said he had no connection at all. Oh, well, the company had a connection to it anyway. So he didn't, though. He was working for a company that had connections to NASA, building the Apollo spaceship. Barron compiled a 169-page report critical of safety standards at Northam and leaked his report to the media. Hang on, wait a second. After the Apollo 1 fire, Barron wrote a 275-page report on NASA safety protocol violations and gave it to Representative Olin E. Teague's investigation at Cape Kennedy in 1967. Then in April 21st, a month later, he was dead. Right. The chairman of the NASA Oversight Committee claimed that Barron had made a valuable contribution to the Apollo fire probe, but had been overzealous. 6 days after his testimony, Barron was killed with his wife and stepdaughter when a train crashed into their car near their home in Florida. I thought you said... Didn't you... Hang on a sec. You said here, Barron worked for Northam, report on NA working practices, and at his death had no link whatsoever to NASA decision-making in the Apollo moon landings. Well, let's have a look. Citation number 5. A report of Apollo 204 report board. Jin, that's not true. It's not true. Anyway, last sentence. Casing explicitly claimed NASA hoax ambitions in the mid-1970s and provided alleged first-hand evidence, but died in 2005. I know that. Explicitly claimed NASA... Yeah, I know all that. That's just Casing's life story. Anyway, so Jin, thanks for that very long comment. I've given you a reply. You've provided a reference to what I wanted with the Bill Casing interview, but again, it's a bit confusing over what this says. But maybe I'll run this past the other detectives. Thank you very much. Reply to comments 88. Hugo Roon. The C word was C, the disease, not cannabis. Oh right, I see. Okay. I understand. Right, it's using all these bloody code words. You have to use all these damn code words on YouTube. That makes it very, very difficult. But anyway, thanks for letting me know about that, Hugo. Thank you. 88, Hugo. 33 countries at the time of the accident. Added Romania after recovery. Total 34. All right, so you went to Romania. Oh, cool. As well, that's a lot, you know. That's more than me. Well done, mate. Well done. Dark Corners UK, 88. Looking forward to what HPANWO has in store for 2024. Is this the year of disclosure? I hope so. Dark Corners. I think it's probably got the best chance of any so far of being the year of disclosure. It does. You know. Gary Robinson replied to comments 88. I did put a reply. Yeah. Ben, mate, in regards to Leave the World Behind and the scene with the broken tractor and the Mexican lady, I wonder if they were making reference to the fact that many Mexicans work on farms in the USA as pickers, etc. Quite possibly, yeah. I mean, in the book, I haven't read the book, but I did sort of look it up while I was researching my videos on the subject. I made 2 videos about this particular film, as you know. I found out that in the book, she's GH's maid, so she's a maid at the house. Who's sort of run off. Although it's quite clear she can't speak English, so she wouldn't be much good as a maid if she can't speak English. Reply to comments 88. Ravenhill, the cryptic of 1968, says, "Have a happy new year, Ben. All the best." Just a couple of questions, really. Who do you think you'll be voting for in the next election, and are you worried about the future of the UK? There's many I hear from who are gravely worried about the immigration problem. I know I've mentioned that before, but do you think things will work out for the best, Ben? All right, Ravenhill. All right, you've actually asked me this before, and there's nothing wrong with asking me the question more than once because I might change my mind on a few things. But Happy New Year to you too. And who will I be voting for? I think I'll say nearer to the time. I'll go into this in more detail nearer to the time. But I think my coverage of the upcoming election, which is going to probably happen sometime this year, it has to happen before January 2025. It'll probably happen in the autumn. I think my coverage is not going to be quite as in depth and animated as my coverage of the 2019 election. I've got a feeling it's not going to be the most interesting of elections. It's going to be considerably more boring than the last one. Who will I be voting for? I'll say more nearer the time, I think. I am worried about the immigration problem enormously. I am worried about the future of this country for many reasons, including that one. I think the mass immigration is damaging the country enormously, and I think it's meant to. It's not just something that's being allowed to happen because the government are too lily-livered by liberal piety to do anything about it. They are making it happen on purpose for a specific strategy. Will things work out for the best, Ben? I don't know, Ravenhill. You know, to be honest, I feel more hopeful now than I did this time last year. I do. But, you know, there's no guarantees. But I remain vaguely optimistic. I'll give you a love heart there, because that's a great comment there. TKUK says on reply to comments 88. HPANWO voice must be shadow banned by the Illuminati so they can't be taken down by you. At least you read it, Ben, aka misinformation, Ben, so not a complete waste of time. Now, who said, what's up, Doc? Right. What? HPANWO voice must be shadow banned by the Illuminati so they can't be taken down by you. I got a feeling you're being sarcastic, but basically, yes. I'm actually working on an article to explain exactly what's happening on HPANWO voice, but I've noticed certain strange things going on with my statistics, my viewing figures. They see someone's messing with them. They seem to reach a certain point, and I've done a couple of experiments, like not sharing certain articles on social media, and I find that the viewing figures still settle around the same level and they don't go any higher, which doesn't make sense. I'll say more about that in the article upcoming. But what's this? At least you read it, aka miss... What? At least you read it, brackets, aka misinformation, Ben, close brackets. So, not a complete waste of time. I don't know what that means. Now, who said, WhatsApp Dark? Oh, it's Bugs Bunny. But apart from that, I don't understand what the hell you're talking about. Okay. Apollo Detectives 13, new Sea Rock evidence, and up comes Gin Skin Pivot again. Marcus Allen said, we can take silent films and play those at correct speeds, but we can't take the Apollo mission films and play them because there aren't the equipment to play them on. Gibberish start to finish, and it isn't even new information. It's been known about since 2011. The lost Apollo tapes are mistaken telemetry data, not imagery. And the McMoon's restaurant tapes aren't Apollo tapes. They're unmanned orbiter tapes from the mid-60s, which were used to back up incoming analog data. Their discovery and the story of the attempts to get funding to archive the tape's content was known more than a decade ago. Ampex 900 rotary head tape machines do indeed exist. I believe there are 4 examples, formerly owned by NASA researcher Nancy Evans. The more complex issue is the format conversion of the tape's unique scanning matrix at output from the Ampex machines. This requires significant funding, as the original formatting was a best guess and wholly temporary compromised for the orbiter downlinks at the time. Alright, okay, so there are 4 machines you can play it on. Is that in the entire world? And as you said, the format conversion of the tape's unique scanning matrix. Well, that's good, Jim. That's good, because it means no one can no one can tape over them to record the 330 at Chepstow, can they? But as you say, it's gibberish from start to finish. There aren't the equipment to play them on. Well, it's not complete gibberish, because there's only 4 in the world, and they're all owned by a NASA researcher who probably wouldn't let Marcus touch them with a barge pole. So it's not complete gibberish, is it, Jin? Anyway, Jin carries on. Any error on NASA's part relating to these reels is that they were not destroyed as ordered. Quite how you make any part of that sinister isn't explored. It would only be sinister if NASA reclaimed the reels and kept their discovery silent. Hang on, no. Why did NASA order them destroyed? I think that's suspicious. So in a sense, if they didn't destroy them, I mean, where do the original videotape reels exist, but they weren't destroyed? So if NASA reclaimed the reels and kept their discovery silent, well, that would be sinister too, but it's also sinister that they would destroy these very important historical documents. I mean, surely, it's like they've got the original negative of the films. They keep them in the vacuum chamber at some laboratory. I think it's the same one where they keep the rocks. So, and they got all the original. And they occasionally, as Jara was explaining, occasionally they make new prints from the original negatives. Anyway, he continues. Once again, lacunas and conflation everywhere, and nothing remotely related to Apollo moon landings. I don't think so, but I'll ask. I mean, I don't know. I don't have all the information to hand, but we can run this past the Apollo detectives. I know they do. At least one of them regularly watches this video, this project. The reply to comments. Quite what film imagery from Apollo is missing and or unplayable, Alan doesn't explain. Well, he said that there are no. He did explain that there aren't the equipment to play them on. You just said there were 4 machines. They're all owned by a NASA researcher, Nancy Evans. Now, these people tend to be very hostile to people like Marcus and probably wouldn't let him near them. Maybe that's what Marcus meant. All Apollo telemetry tapes are not Apollo film negative rolls, Marcus. Okay. All right. Well, I think Marcus is aware of that. I think he was referring to the videotapes that were used in which the TV recordings were actually made, which I believe the ones filmed, the ones shown to the media are actually filmed by camera. It was literally a screen over. Someone had a camera pointing at the screen, at the TV screen. Anyway, but thanks very much, Jin. Alright, Silent Night Watch Party review. Oh, Rotten Damians has commented on Silent Night Watch Party review. Alright, Rotten Damians Rotten Damians has got a YouTube channel where he does his own film reviews. This guy, you can't see him very well. You can't see it very well, but
Welcome to.
But you can't see it. But he's called Rotten Damians. And if I could somehow work out how to fix this damn thing, it would be. I don't know. I'd be able to show you the entire channel. It's called Rotten Damians, and Damien, actually, if that's his name, he does film reviews, and he did a review of Silent Night, the film Silent Night, and I told him that I'd done a review too, and he's just going to put a comment on it. So thank you very much, Damien. Thanks for watching. Okay, Roy Bland says on reply to comments 88. You still haven't got my points. No worries, try again. Okay, now Roy has been talking to me about the strange, the strayed away Thai, Twitter voicemail thing, where that's the strange, weird voicemail this guy Ty received, We've been having a discussion, and I've been trying to get your points, Roy. If I haven't got your points, it's not because I haven't been studying your message correctly. So I'll go through this again. I'll go through it very carefully. Roy Bland says, "You still haven't got my points. No worry, I'll try again." Okay, well, I'll do my best to understand you, Roy. I have actually been giving you full replies to your previous comments as well as I can. The person-to-person handshake at the beginning is not the be-all and end-all. Right, I don't doubt that. Real phone messages are never automated or use synthetic voices. They always have two people talking for the whole call. Right, but you can receive audio in the form of... I've actually received audio myself in the form of audio text. Like that is essentially SMS. I know what Ty received was not SMS, but it was like an audio version of with what sounds to me like a synthetic voice. So do bear in mind that Ty did not pick up the phone. This was a voicemail. It went to voicemail, so it was a voicemail message, as you would do if you phoned him and said, "Ty, I'm just calling you. All right, call me back when you got a moment." It's like that. This guy received, he didn't dial, which is always the way it's done. Yeah, I know. A fake message with no encryption or code. He received, he didn't dial, which is the way it's done. A fake message with no encryption or code. He received a message, and there was no encryption. The message wasn't encrypted, but it did contain a message no, there's no encryption. I mean, the code, if it had one, was simply the phonetic alphabet. He carries on. There were many other clear signs of a hoax that I have already explained. You did indeed, Roy, but I dispute your explanation. It was a bad prank. Somebody who is clueless about this topic targeted this guy. All you need for this prank is a computer and a cell phone. It is not an elaborate hoax, as you say. Yeah, I think it is. I think the context and the content of the message makes it very elaborate. Now, you say someone who's clueless about the topic targeted this guy. I think, yes, you would have to be clueless in order to target someone who you know has no interest in this particular subject and would probably just dismiss it. They were very lucky, as it happens. They were very lucky. And it appears he was the only one that we know of who received this message. So it wasn't like a kind of R-type sprinkling or like broadcasting of disseminated seeds of prank calls to as many people as possible in the hope you get like one response. He was sent this and no one else. Okay. Prank calls like this are easy to do and cost nothing, even a mass one, which usually are more believable, as in the way they are done. Of course, I mean, anyone who has his phone number could send him this message, yes. But this wasn't a mass one, this was just him. So who sent it to him? Someone who knows him, had his phone number and knew him. So, but at the same time, there would have to be someone who didn't know him well enough to know that this is the kind of thing he wouldn't believe. My experience tells me this was not genuine, but the opposite. Nothing supports it being real. Everything points to a hoax. I don't agree. Although those two sentences are just three sentences are actually just rhetoric. Oh, they're just sort of an assertion rather, not rhetoric. It's more an assertion. And I don't agree, for reasons I've explained. There's at least one number station. The call had no code or encryption. Was not a number not a number station format. I know, Roy. I know it wasn't a number station, but I was using it as a comparison. The content was similar to what you get with number stations. A number station is like something broadcast on an analog radio band. You know. There's at least one number station on there every 5 minutes, 24/7. No one would send an unencrypted message by phone when the shortwave one-time pad is so effective. Yeah, that is odd. Yeah, if this was something to do with espionage, why was it sent to Ty without any encryption? Now, the one-time pad, you're absolutely right, is very effective. This is basically where a message is encoded using a completely random sequence, a completely random substitute letter or number. Indeed, sometimes there are several layers of encoding. A good example is the Venona system. Now, the Venona decrypt project was basically an attempt by what was then called the Signals Intelligence Service, became the NSA in sort of the 1940s, to decode Soviet spy messages in telegrams and things like that, spy messages and things like that, which were all encoded. Now they are supposed to be unbreakable, but unfortunately the encoders and the agents in the field and the embassies, they got sloppy and started to reuse the pads. If they reuse the pads, patterns can emerge, which means that there could be the cipher can be broken. But if you use them properly and you just use one randomly and then throw it away and use another, then they are unbreakable. Yeah. And Roy says it is unbreakable and no one can pinpoint whom it's intended for. Yeah. You could even get the message on shortwave on your phone using a radio app, and it would still be untraceable to you, just like a shortwave receiver. Well, correct. I mean, just like in the old days when we had analog radio and things like that. You could be like on an island somewhere like that, and you could just pick up transmissions. If you had a TV set or a radio set, you just pick up transmissions. Readers of my novel Rockall, not available at shops, you get it free. You get Rockall for free actually on my fiction blog, Ben's Bookcase. That's HPANWO-bb.blogspot.co.uk. There was actually a scene in the story where these people who are on this island that's been surrounded, basically, it's under siege. They essentially struck off the net. They're like watching TV and they're communicating with electronics, like electronic telephones and things like that. And suddenly everything goes blank. And the reason is because the provider has basically just struck them off. Now, in the old days, in the analog days, they couldn't do that. If you were in an island under siege, as long as you had a radio set or a TV set, or like a radio telephone, no one could stop you using those things and picking up the radio waves that are broadcast everywhere. So yeah, I don't disagree with those last two sentences at all. But I don't think that's necessarily relevant. Roy continues. The sender probably knows him better than you and how he would react. I'm sure. Well, if he knows him, he's like his brother or his best friend or his mother, then yes, he would know. He would know him better than me. That goes without saying. However, he would then probably know that, you don't have to know him well to realise, to look through his profile on Twitter and see that he's not the kind of person to whom this prank would work. They sure got what they wanted. I think he was singled out, and it was not random. Why? Because of his reaction. That's a kind of what's the word? That's a non sequitur or a quid pro quo or some Latin phrase that makes me sound sophisticated, which I can't think of right now. Which means the end result of the experiment is a kind of justification for some strange method. They got what they wanted, but he was singled out. It was not random. Well, presumably, if he's the only one who got this message, either they were very lucky, whoever sent this message, or he was singled out. But there's a bit of contradiction here, because if he was singled out, why him? And you say, why? Because of his reaction. Yet if you look at his profile, you'll see that reaction was a very unexpected one. Maybe people who knew him better would know that he's the kind of person you could play this trick on. But then why is there nothing revealed in his Twitter profile along those lines? I mean, like I say, he's a kind of wokist. He's an Antifa. He's like a left-wing, almost like communist. I mean, why would he? He's lots of anti-Trump jokes, lots of Black Lives Matter things on his profile. I mean, belief. You've got to realise, Roy, that belief in these kinds of subjects, in that among people of those political persuasions, is virtually non-existent. As I said, Jay Posadas is the only person I can think of who combines those two beliefs, and I've made an entire video about him. Yeah. So it doesn't. I agree with there's some contradictions here, but then I don't believe there's some contradictory evidence here, but I don't believe that you have somehow wrestled some 40-pound solution out of this maelstrom of contradiction. He carries on. Dumping your phone, etc. is extreme, not normal. Yeah, I mean, he would have to be very frightened to throw away a phone that could cost 150, £200. Yeah. I wonder if the recipient was in on the prank. As I said, based on his profile, his personality profile, I would say no. I mean, you can ask psychologists, Roy. Just ask people like Professor Chris French or Helen Douglas and people like that. They've worked out, they can, they boast that they can look at 3 tweets that someone posts, and they can work out whether this person is a conspiracy believer or not. And they say if, for example, you believe, if you believe in UFOs, you probably believe in ghosts, that kind of thing. So it's kind of a bit of a backflip to then claim that, oh no, despite all this, we can never predict who might believe in these things or who might not. You see, it's a bit of that's a kind of like contradiction. Roy continues. During World War II, BBC News broadcasted to Nazi-occupied Europe. Each news programme began with Big Ben tolling the hour live. Yes, right. There was we had of course Lord Haw and people like that broadcasting from the Nazi propaganda to us, but at the same time, we were doing the same to them. We were broadcasting propaganda. This always happens in warfare. Happens to this day. Smart German. This is Roy speaking. Smart German physicists learned the weather in London from the small changes in the bell's sound. This helped the Luftwaffe a lot. The British Secret Service found out and used recordings instead of live broadcasts. That's what I meant, not renovation work. Oh, I see. Okay. All right, I understand now. Really? So they could just work out from changes in the sound of the bell, say, like wind direction, things like that? Oh. I didn't know that. That's incredible. Happy New Year, everyone. Happy New Year, Roy. Thank you for all that. Now, I've tried my best. I've spent a lot of time. In fact, we're almost through the first hour reading your comment and doing my best to understand it, Roy. Okay, so hopefully we'll get something there. But anyway, Roy continues and on another comment on the same video, reply to comments 88. Bill Casing talks to Bart Sabrell about the John Grant influence here. Right, what's this? Video unavailable. The video is no longer available due to a copyright claim by Bart Sabrell. Well, I'm afraid, Roy, the aforementioned Mr. Sabrell has already he's put in a strike on that video. He's flagged that video. Anyway, but Roy continues. Casing left Rocketdyne before any serious work on Apollo started. He was a librarian who departed due to mental health issues. Right, I knew he left Rocketdyne. I knew he was a librarian. I didn't know he departed due to mental health issues. Anyway. Byron's car didn't break... Oh, right, I think you mean Baron. Baron's car didn't break down on the crossing. The warning lights and sounds were fully functioning. Let's have a look. Death. 6 days after his testimony, Baron was killed instantly along with his wife and stepdaughter when a train crashed into their car near their home, Florida. Right. How does a train crash into a car if that car is not on the crossing? Anyway. The warning lights and sounds were fully functioning. Alright, here we go. Alright, so... Sorry, Roy, I should have just read that entire paragraph first before replying. Unfortunately, Baron thought he could beat the train and didn't. The police report is widely available. It's not uncommon for drivers or pedestrians to take the same gamble and get smashed. I navigate a rail crossing twice a day. It has to have security guards, police and cameras because of people trying to beat the trains. They still try. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of rather gruesome videos online of people actually being silly and trying to cross in front of the train and getting whacked, getting hit by the train. Yeah, there's the thing about it is, it seems an odd thing to do that. He's got his wife and kid in the car. The warning lights one. He thinks he can beat the train. Could he see the train? And this was coincidentally just a few days after this. You see, it's an odd coincidence, Roy. I mean, of course, if it looks like his car, all right, if his car broke down, it would be more suspicious. If it didn't break down, that's less suspicious. But so let's have number 6, Baron report. Now this is all right, an Apollo report by Thomas Ronald Barron. All right, that's just his report. Okay, so the citation doesn't actually lead to any news story or police report about his death. Oh, 7, yeah, the Barron Report. 6, Daytona Beach Morning Journal. Right, May the 4th, 1967. He died on Star Wars Day. That's it. Well, actually, no, he didn't. He died on the 27th of April. Actually, so he died 8 days earlier. Right, so it took 8 days to report his death in a newspaper. Okay. So Roy, I'm a little bit. So again, I mean, if the car didn't break down, that's less suspicious. But it seems an odd thing to do, and it's just 6 days after his report seems a convenient coincidence. You must realise that even if this could be interpreted as something just bad luck, it's still, to me, suspicious. And then Roy finishes here. Barron's report put NASA in the clear and laid blame for the Apollo fire on contractors. Yet conspiracy theorists think NASA had him killed. Barron's report. He says he was critical of safety standards at NAA and leaked his report to the media. But the thing is, like, this was when NAA was the primary contractor to build the Apollo Command module. So really, it's kind of like as broad as it's long, whether it is the contractor or NASA itself. Because, I mean, I know this because I've worked in the public sector, and I know very well how they use contractors. I was actually employed by a contractor myself for 10 years, and indeed, we know all about the camo dudes, don't we? Area 51. So it really doesn't make much difference. And so conspiracy theorists do think NASA had him killed, or NAA had him killed. It really is. It doesn't. Or someone behind the whole thing. Probably someone from the CIA. It was probably not NASA or Northam who actually killed him. Anyway, thanks, Roy. Interesting stuff there. Rapollo Detectives 13 Sea Rock Evidence. Melvin Sherman says, "Let's say I'm kind of big no." Alright. I don't know what that means. Melvin says again on Leave the World Behind review. Let's say I'm fine with UFO, but draw the line on Scientology. Right, well, I'm the same. I don't believe in Scientology, but I believe in UFOs. Reply to comments 88. Now we've got a timestamp here from Nitrida. 1 hour, it's 1:46:23. That was definitely a lol moment. What's this? But if I want to say cunt, I'll say cunt. All right, I see, right. I suppose it was. Thanks, Night Reader. Okay, reply to comments 88. We have Coda 834. You should pridely. Oh, right, it's a bit. We've got some unwinnies here. Pridely dignifol. Portoria's, whatever, deep joy. You should be bending your eardrows to Professor Bryle Coxloader. Professor Bryle Coxloader is a twatty load. He's a tossy load. He's a trovely treasuret of wisely for your edifole. If Coxloader says that aliens are steam it dollopin pylode, that's good enough. I'm alright, Jack. Trotty, triddly ho. And bankage there. Oh yes, all right. I think I understand that. If I can just decode this strange unwinese, the Coxloader can get stuffy load. A dollop and pie load, no, it's not good enough. I don't think. Skeptic's Guide to Aliens. All right. This is the last. I remember this was probably one of the last videos I made before the lockdown. But the crafty nihilist said, "Here, Ben, when did you invent conspirasphere?" All right, I can't remember. I mean, it's been used several times. Like 14 Times has a section called the Conspirasphere, talking about conspiracies. But I mean, I think did I first mention it there? Yeah. Anyway, that's lovely, that old video there. Funnily enough, that's when I first went into a cashless pub. That was pre-lockdown. Storm Apocalypse livestream. Lemsip says, "You now have a disclaimer added to refute what you said in the video." What? Did I? And then I said to her, blimey, I said in reply, "That was quick, it's not processed, so I can't download it. Hope I can soon in case they yeet it." And then Angela Kenyon says, Ben the jail porter still up at 12 a.m. UK, and I said to Angela, having a hospital portering night shift flashback. Okay, I don't quite understand what Lemsip says about the disclaimer. To refute what I said in the video, I don't get that. No, I don't get that. Storm Apocalypse livestream. Israel Diego Rivera, Genius 2, the real genius, says, have you heard of the Miami alien incident? It's all over Twitter. Yes, indeed, it is Diego Rivera, and as you know, I've done an entire video about that. I did go on to do one. I've written several HPANWO voice articles, including one I made after the video with updates. Storm Apocalypse livestream. Lemsip says, on the chemtrail issue, I've read that the chemtrails were just contrails made more visible when there was low atmospheric pressure and therefore rain the next day, rather than causing bad weather. It's like putting the cart before the horse and wondering which comes first, the chicken or the egg. But it's a strange coincidence that it rains more in school holidays and rains more on Saturday than any other day. During the week, most people have to work. On Sundays, those without cars are often stranded. Chemtrails produce rain. All contrails are chemtrails anyway because they result from burned aeroplane fuel. They don't only consist of water vapour. Right, I don't agree with you about the chemtrails. There was a distinct difference. They should be. You see that if they were, no doubt they contain water vapour, but if they just consisted only of water vapour, you'd have only tiny fragments of soot from the burned aeroplane fuel, creating essentially clouds that can last for hours, sometimes a whole day, and yet they're in a sky where no other clouds can be found. They're often followed by certain clouds as well. But you say that this is interesting because, I mean, funnily enough, a lot of climatologists, including the official ones who believe in the anthropogenic climate change, they say that jet contrails affect temperatures. In fact, there was this BBC Horizon produced something. They produced I forgot the title of it now. They had to pull the video actually because they pulled the program because it was actually so full of scientific errors. There were so many complaints about it. It's still around, but you can only get it as a bootleg. Oh, it's called Global Dimming. That's right, Global Dimming. Well, they say that basically contrails affect climate, and they did it because of an experiment during 9/11 when all the planes were grounded. Yeah. So, I mean, it could be you were saying that basically the weather is caused by the contrails, just natural contrails, and not chemtrails. Well, according to mainstream climatology, that's possible. However, what I found is that, firstly, the chemtrails are not contrails, and they do seem to affect the entire sky. They create a certain particular kind of cloud, for example. I don't have the data about whether or not there's actually certain precipitations and things follow them. I mean, Cliff Carnicum has said a lot more about this than Sophia Smallstorm. Storm Apocalypse livestream. Neil, Happy New Year, Ben. Hi, Neil. Happy New Year. I've quite a few of your awesome videos to catch on. Oh, well, I hope you enjoy them, mate. I hope you enjoy them. I thought your 2 videos of Vegas were fantastic and could have been the greatest I watched in 2023. Keep well, buddy. Thanks, Neil. You're very welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed Meadows. I'm actually going to do like a follow-up, a little debrief video about Meadows. But yeah, it was lovely. It was great to go there. The Stairway to the Stars conference was fantastic. I'm hoping, if I've got the money and time, I'm hoping to go back to the United States this year to go somewhere else. And I'll let you know about that. Obviously, I'll make a video about it if I go. Storm Apocalypse livestream. Lemsip. Sprouts are great. Parboiled or roasted and with cranberry sauce. They are, aren't they? They're delicious. I like them with lots of tomato ketchup. Storm Apocalypse livestream. Neil says here, we had 55 consecutive dry days here in Belfast back in March and April 2020 during the lockdown, where there was hardly any flights. I'm wondering if the flights are causing the rain. Lemsip says, I think the contrails do as well as chemtrails, but then the weather was miserable and wet during the second lockdown. There were more flights then as people were using the work loophole to go abroad, so the influencers and reality show contestants were hiding behind it. They claimed that, they claimed they needed to be spotted by paparazzi in Dubai to get more reality show weekends. Then governments clamped down on travelling abroad with quarantine hotels near airports. These hotels treated those in quarantine appallingly, even though they were normally 3 to 4 star hotels. Right, I didn't know all that about the paparazzi. But of course, as we said, I mean, no one denies that jet trails, what's known as jet cirrus, has an effect on the weather. Yeah, I mean, what I'm saying is chemtrails are a different phenomenon that has a different purpose. Storm Apocalypse live stream. Alan McBride says stormfish? Question mark. What they called it? They called it storm. What's it called? They gave them Dutch names, didn't they? Storm Gerrit and Storm Henk. Yeah. Donald Wellham says here on Storm Apocalypse livestream, the weather is certainly crazy, and they reckon it was the 8th storm, and these storms are getting more and more stronger too. And Lemsip said 2014 was continual storms for the first 2 months. Oh, was that the year? I remember, Lemsip, there was 1 year when literally it was like miserable rain and wet for 5 months non-stop. I remember it very well indeed. And as I've said before, that's the end of an hour. Okay, so we'll start again with hour number 2 in a minute, and I'll carry on with Lemsip's comment. I would normally finish it, but it's quite a long one. Okay, guys, we're on to hour number 2. Now, before I forget, I'm going to ask you this, because I was going to leave this till the end, but I'll probably forget. As you know, last year I did the introduction to this book, The Doomsday Conspiracy by Sidney Sheldon. And the reason I did it was I want to do a read party about this book. And it is a read-only party because this book has never been adapted into a film. So it'll be read-only. So could you please put a comment and let me know if you've read this book? Because I won't actually do the review and live stream about the book until at least probably a dozen of you have actually read it, because there's no point otherwise. So please do let me know if you've read that book. I'd be very grateful. Now, we continue with Lemsip's comment here. She's talking about the 2014 continual storms. I can't actually remember what year it was, Lemsip, but I do remember how bloody miserable it was. I do remember how incredibly depressing the whole damn the whole damn situation was. And indeed, this was what caused Mayor Hillman to do his infamous speech at Conway Hall, where he talked about the need for these reforms to be introduced and not appeal to the democratic process, because they have to be introduced regardless of. I can't remember the actual quote, but it's this very sinister quote. I'll just find it here. Here we go. Hillman Mayor. Here we go. Anyway, I did an article on Ben's bookcase called here we go, Anything to Save the Planet. You can't actually see it there anyway, but anyway, yeah, he says the democratic process is not sacrosanct. The majority view in the developed world is that the people are not prepared to make the lifestyle choices for the dramatic carbon reductions necessary, and their democratic leaders do nothing except pander to their whims to get elected. Do we subscribe to the democratic approach to decision making, which has so far failed, or, in this instance, as I would argue, it has to be set aside? Whether the public like it or not, these changes have to be made. If these changes are not made, we will assuredly hand over a dying planet to succeeding generations. Well, what can I say? I mean, those sinister words are exactly what the essence of what I think that this idea about climate change and of the fact that the assertion that we are to blame for it is all about. It's about saying, well, no more democracy. We have an international state of emergency to save the planet. Temporary, of course. Yeah. Yeah, I remember. But I remember it was after that he actually said that particular winter was a wake-up call for many people. Of course, we've had cold and snowy winters since. It's now pretty cold out. The last couple of days it's been freezing. But then he says, but Lemsip says, I was really depressed but that was out of frustration, not being able to talk about weather modification. Oh right, I was just depressed, Lemsip, because it was just damn right miserable. She carries on. Things got a little better in March, as it was dry enough to prune trees on the garden and have bonfires in the evening. Then we had a hot summer, but it wasn't enough to dry out flooded out fields and country parks. I think I'll keep a weather diary from now on, with incidents of rain, intensity and length. Then see which days of the week it rains most on, and if it rains more during school holidays. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the case. Lemsip, that's a brilliant idea. That is, I mean, I really respect people who go to this intention to do this kind of field research. I don't have the patience for it, I really don't. But if you do that, that's really good, because you know what? It wouldn't surprise me either. I actually said during my Christmas videos it's the weather on Christmas Day is almost a self-parody of a typical Southern English winter. I mean, I can't prove that because you could say, well, if that's the typical one, then why shouldn't Christmas Day be like it? But it's almost like it just seems, it's just like that song by Lenny Henry. He's so very ordinary. He's so ordinary that ordinary is not an ordinary enough word to describe him. It feels like that. Lemsip carries on. It didn't rain so much on Saturdays and over the Christmas period before, as they wanted us all out shopping back before online shopping became popular when shops were closed on Sundays. That's an interesting idea. I mean, I don't know if I don't know exactly where Lemsip live. I think she lives in Wales, if I remember rightly. Oh, correct me if I'm wrong, Lemsip. But yeah, it's a very strange thing, isn't it? Yeah. Even when it was legalised, many shops still remain closed on Sundays, especially small independent ones. It was more likely to rain on Sundays to stop us going out walking, cycling, fishing and bird watching, playing tennis or swimming. Yeah, well, Lemsip, they don't want us doing things that make us happy, do they? They want us sad, browbeaten and demoralised and depressed. That way we're easier to control. Buses and trains used to be more frequent, even on Sundays. Now shops are open on Sundays, it rains more on Saturdays. So many weekend events I wanted to attend, but couldn't, as it rained either all day or heavily on the Saturday, and there weren't enough buses on the Sunday. I used to wish for midweek rain during the autumn and spring school terms. Then we couldn't do PE outdoors. Oh, I used to like PE. PE used to be fun in my school, but if you keep this diary and gather genuine data to match what you think is going on, that would be very interesting. Now, of course, the skeptics will dismiss it as coincidence. They always do. You could keep a diary for 5 years, and with a distinct, and you could draw up a graph with a massive blip of rainfall levels on the days you say that it rains most. The skeptics will say, coincidence. So I wish you luck, Lemsip. I really, really do. Thank you. Right, Gary Rock. Right, Storm Apocalypse live stream. Gary says, despite there being no ads on your channel, Ben, YouTube is asking me to disable my ad blocker. Right, and I said this could be because I've had a third-party strike on the video. Yeah, the Storm Apocalypse live stream got a third-party strike. It was for me showing the Lynmouth footage, the newsreel from Pathy of the Lynmouth disaster, which is odd because I've shown that video on several times before. I've shown that particular video and not got a strike for it. Gary Robinson says on Storm Apocalypse live stream, Ben, mate, a friend of mine just posted a US news article on her Instagram with a headline reading, US shopping mall closed by police after 10-foot aliens spotted roaming inside. Not seen any mention of this anywhere else. Thanks for letting me know, Gary, and as you know, I've done an entire video since all about that, and I've done several articles on her HPANWO voice, including one with an update, so do check out her HPANWO voice. Right, New Year Adventure, new video. Taft Derek Baker says, wishing you a healthy and happy New Year, Ben. Thanks, Derek, you too. Keith Smith says on New Year Adventure, glad you're getting out of the subterranean basement. Thanks, Keith. It's actually only semi-subterranean, you know. But yeah, thanks. And Nothing As It Seems says, out of the bunker in Oxfordshire. I don't have a bunker, mate. I'm one of those people in the Vice documentary, While the Rest of Us Die. Well, I'm one of the rest of us. I can't afford any of these elite doomsday bunkers, unfortunately. And Zuckerberg doesn't like me enough to give me a bedroom in his one in New Zealand. Hugo, by the way, I'm making a video all about that very soon. Hugo Rune says on New Year Adventure, all the best, Ben and everyone. Thanks, Hugo. You too. Thanks, Hugo. And Donna Wellham says, Happy New Year, Neil and Ben. Thanks, Donna. By the way, Neil's video is now up, the full quality video. Neil says, thanks, Happy New Year, Donna. Happy New Year, Donna. Yes, if you go to Neil's channel, Neil Peel Paranormal Peep Show, the top quality version with lots of extra videos and clips and other pieces of information is actually available on his channel now, so you can go and enjoy that. The one I've got on my channel is a substandard version, just a one camera feed. So please, you'll enjoy it much more actually if you go to Neil's channel. New Year Adventure, Rick Bowker says, I really enjoyed your conversation with friends. Thanks, Rick. Much appreciated. I'm glad you enjoyed that. Happy New Year. Dark Corner says on the same video, watching this on our Odyssey. Fantastic reportage as always. Thanks, Dark Corners, and thanks for watching on Alt Tech. Very important. Same video, Hugo Room. Wonderful artwork. I'm impressed. Well, that's great. And Neil says, thank you very much, Hugo, underneath. Yes, I love Neil's art. I really, really do. And Hugo says on the same video, Neil and Monica, wonderful people. And Neil says, thank you, Hugo. And Lemsip says, in Weymouth. Yes, we did go. We were in Weymouth for part of it. Taff says, wishing you it's Taff Derek Baker on the same video, wishing you a healthy and happy new year, Monica and Neil. And Neil says, same to you too. Nothing as it seems says on New Year Adventure. Steve Holden's special vehicle, the Ute, doesn't aim at what? Steve Holden's special vehicle, the Ute or UTE, doesn't aim at marsupials. And he carries on here. I might have figured out why you don't like driving. The steering wheel is on the wrong side of the car, and everyone is driving on the wrong side of the road. You sound like Crocodile Dundee. Cheers, mate, from where we have always measured distance in miles and had the steering wheel fastened on the left side with the shifter located near my right knee. Oh, right, no, you're obviously American or something, or... yeah, yes, right. No, hang on. Yeah, but the shifter's not located near your right knee. No, it's near your left knee, wouldn't it be? Because you have... oh, no, it's because it's a right-hand drive car. Like British cars are right-hand drive, aren't they? Because you drive on the left. So in that case, it's near your right knee. But I see. So if you're if the driving orientation is on the right, you have a left-hand drive car, and the gear lever is near your right knee. I see what you mean. Okay, sorry, confused there for a minute. UAPS28 says on New Year Adventure. Another adventure? You do spoil us, Benny boy. By the way, Neil and Monica, super peeps. Loving the artwork, Neil. Hopefully you'll show us more soon. And Neil says, plus here's a very old video when I ran a museum gallery on Orkney showing some of this other artwork. And there's this video here. Neil in Fairy Museum.
I'm Neil. This is the Fairy Museum and gallery in Orkney.
Now you can't see much of that, but there's a sort of... oh right, there's a young, long-haired Neil in this little house, and you see like the guy with the beard picture behind him, right? So I'm sorry, I will work out at some point the very simple way I can get the display capture to fit the damn monitor screen. Anyway, and Neil has also got the Titanic here video. So well done, Neil. Thank you very much. And Neil and Monica have been co-painting this Titanic thing here, yeah. Which you can find on his channel. It just says, okay. It just says how we painted the Titanic for my former school teacher, Neil and Monica's art channel. So check that out. I've got a sub actually. I haven't actually subbed. But it's called Neil and Monica's art channel, and Neil has put like a link in the description box there. So that's for you, right? Okay. The Crafty Nihilist says on New Year Adventure. Researching quiz questions. Oh, the quiz, yes. If you go to the Crafty Nihilist's YouTube now, you find every Saturday night they do a live Q&A. And it's a live quiz. It's very great fun. I've done 2 of them so far, yeah. Researching quiz questions for next week, says Crafties. Going to listen to this gem while I do. Thanks for being a great for being a great spanner last night. Oh, thanks. That's the gas spanner. Oh no, sorry, it's not. It's I was of course I'm actually I'm a moderator, and they pointed me moderator, and I put it here on. You're very welcome. I loved it. On the subject of spanners, I have to present the gas one tonight at 8 p.m. on HPANWO Radio. That's right, yeah. I did, yes. Crafty says here, love Team Ward. Please give me a tutorial on painting faces, Neil. And Neil says, thought I sent you a link. Did you whereabouts? And then Neil gives a link here. Being painted in dark tones first, i.e. shadows under the chin, nose, eyes, etc. Then mix up mid-tones and paint them next to shadows, and then add lighter tones to the gaps. Very pale tones can be added in areas jutting out, like the tips of noses and lips. Oh, I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could do that, mate. I really didn't know that. I didn't know. Sorry, I didn't know you could do face makeup as well. Right, New Year Adventure, The Crafty Nihilist, 1727 timestamp sums up my year.
3, 2, 1. Well, nothing's happening. I think my clocks there must be wrong.
Yes, of course, we had that slightly abortive countdown. That's never happened to me before at New Year. TKUK says on the same video, there's a timestamp at 1:29:54, right. Which is... let's have a look. Oh, right. It says, no skeptic says... Oh, right.
If there's a skeptic out there who can explain how it was done, I'd be interested to hear it.
I suppose the answer they give you would be that this guy must have broken into your house and photocopied your diary or something.
Oh right, yeah, this is something we were talking about. TK says, no skeptic says, quote, Neil saying ghosts happened is no evidence of anything apart from Neil saying ghosts happened. Hashtag HNY. What's HNY? It's probably one of these new... I'm not geared up on these things. HNY, meaning. Happy New Year. Oh, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too, TK. Right, I should have guessed that, shouldn't I? No, a skeptic the skeptic says, Neil saying ghosts happened is no evidence of anything apart from Neil saying ghosts happened. Right, TK, that's not what Neil is claiming, okay? Neil's claiming there is evidence. There's actual other forms of evidence as well. There's physical evidence. There's ghost hunters come up with all kinds of different things. Like all kinds of different things. Right, Storm Apocalypse live stream. So basically, TK, I don't think that's what skeptic would say or should say to what Neil is claiming. Nemsip. We normally have relatively mild weather over the Christmas and New Year period to get people out shopping, the sales back when more was spent in shops than online. Now the weather is worse over Christmas and the New Year to get us to stay at home shopping online as more money is spent now online instead of in shops. This is too much of a coincidence to dismiss, so more evidence of weather modification. But I don't see chemtrails every day as someone else in South Wales does. Oh, I thought she lived in South Wales, yeah. Once New Year's Day was made a bank holiday, more workplaces were closed in that period. Oh, well, yeah, I didn't know it used to be. I know New Year's Eve is a bank holiday in Scotland as well. In Scotland it's a bank holiday too. Lemsip continues, I used to remember my father returning from work on the 27th of December. If it fell on a weekday and we hadn't gone to stay with my maternal grandmother that year for Christmas, she came to stay with us instead. He preferred to save his leave for spring and summer months. That makes sense, Lemsip. I used to do the same actually when I was a hospital porter. So some years we went to South Wales for Christmas only. Some years we went for the New Year's Eve dinner party and 3 days around it. Some years both of and some years not at all. I used to remember the New Year sales starting on New Year's Day and my mother going to them if we were at home for New Year that year, while we kids would be in the street deliberately sliding around on iced puddles and throwing snowballs at each other. They don't want us out walking or cycling in the parks, the streets and the countryside, and visiting museums and other tourist attractions and leisure centres during time off over Christmas and New Year, as we aren't spending money then. Those were the places I would go back when we had milder, drier Christmases. Some years my father would take us to see Nan for Christmas, return home on the day after or on Boxing Day to return to work, and then rejoin us on New Year's Eve or the day before to celebrate their friend's New Year's Eve dinner party. Friends from when they were much younger and still living in South Wales, which was also their wedding anniversary. Good times. Then drive us back home on New Year's Day, or we would skip the New Year's Eve party that year. Oh, thanks for that. Thanks for that little story, Lemsip, and precious memories from times past, isn't it? But you know what? If you gather this evidence that you're looking for by keeping this diary, you could prove your point, and I'd be very, very interested to hear what you find out. I really would. Gary Robinson says on New Year Adventure. Great video, Ben, mate. Really enjoyed this one. Great talk with Neil, and interesting to see his gallery and his part of the world in general. I've got to pull you up on something, though. Vertigo is not a fear of heights. It's a condition that causes extreme dizziness and a sense of moving while being still. Yeah, that's true, Gary, but I get it when I'm in a high place, like up a ladder or something. I've had it my whole life, and I'm told it's caused by stress. It can be caused by several things, yeah. Honestly, it's horrible as you have to wait for it to pass, and it can prevent you from lying down, which means you can't sleep until it goes away, which can be anywhere from 2 hours to 12 hours. Cheers. Oh dear. Well, I'm glad I haven't got that kind of vertigo, Gary. I just get it like if I'm going up some steps, like I was, like the very steep, narrow spiral steps, just go high up the tower. Now, the way out of it is, of course, the classic way to avoid it is just don't look down. Because it's when you look down, and suddenly I feel this sense that I'm moving and rocking about and my head spins. People in a high place can fall sometimes simply as a result of vertigo. And so that's what I mean by a fear of heights. But I didn't actually overcome my vertigo per se. What I did was I prevented it from activating by not looking down, by keeping my eyes on the wall and just walking up the stairs. It was a very easy thing to. It was actually quite easy, and I'll do the same if I go back to South Shields. I reckon I can go up those lighthouse steps to the top using the same method. I bet you I can. Neil says, "Happy New Year, Gary. My wife suffers from dizziness too. Sorry to hear you get it." Oh yeah, it's not nice. Excuse me. New Year adventure. Gary Robinson. Disgraceful service you receive from the coach and train services, mate. These companies have no problem in taking money from hard-working people en masse and not only providing them with nothing in return, but leaving them stranded. As soon as they have to make it up to you, there are forms and phone calls to deal with. Anyone would think you have been given a free first-class seat to New York City. I know, it was annoying. I mean, I almost missed the train I got, simply because of all the damn forms they were filling in. I mean, as I explained, I had to say to these people, look, can you please just give me the ticket? You don't need me now. Just fill out the forms in your own time and just give me the ticket and let me catch the next train. Lemsip says on Storm Apocalypse live stream, I saw your blog and a lot of entries about chemtrails. If you want to cool an entire chemtrail area early in the day to create clouds during the day to prevent the sun rays creating warmth, and then no chemtrailing in the evening, so there's no cloud cover at night, so warm air escapes as it does on clear nights. But they won't do that in a heat wave, but in winter to make it even colder. Correct, Lemsip. Yeah, it's simply a question of solar rays management. Yeah, and heat management at night. Yes. They do the reverse to warm the earth by chemtrailing in the evening, not early in the morning. Bet they do more in the summer, so we get hotter summers and colder winters. It rarely got below 5°C in winter in southern England and Wales one time, even at night. Now that is more common. Right, I have actually noticed, certainly, we haven't, the last 2 or 3 winters have not been like the infamous 2014 one. That's right. So 10 years later, and I remember the 2014 was only the most extreme of a series of mild, wet winters we had. So it could be all right, yeah. It could be that's true. This could be engineered or it could be natural. I don't know. Lemsip also says here on... Oh no, hang on, there's a thread here on New Year Adventure. Lemsip says, I haven't been to a New Year's Eve party since 2014, and as I'm sick of excessive drunkenness... I'm sick of the excessive drunkenness. Oh, well, no one's forcing you to drink, Lemsip. You could always let other people do it. You could be the designated driver. That was only a party hosted by my last boyfriend, and I couldn't escape to my home as I needed to be there to mind my possessions I kept there. All right. Well, couldn't you trust him? And I'm glad he's your ex-boyfriend if you couldn't trust him. Before that, I would attend Kalenig in the city centre with a lantern parade, fun fair and live bands, but stopped because of very drunk people there, some of whom have been drinking all day. Right, is that in Cardiff? Well, Cardiff can be a place of drunkenness and hedonism. Have you ever seen Human Traffic, Lemsip? It's a really brilliant film actually set in Cardiff. Yeah. Neil says in reply to Lemsip, we were invited to that night to a New Year's Eve party, but my wife was not up to going. Yeah, Neil, I'm actually quite glad. It sounds like it would have been a bit of a normie fest, yeah, or sort of even semi-normie fest. But I know how we had such a good time on our own, didn't we? Just the three of us. But like you, I don't like excessive drinking from strangers. So Ben and I stayed in, watched a few UFO documentary programs on Netflix, and drank wine together. We found this a much closer way to welcome in the new year. I agree, Neil. I think it's one of the most pleasant New Year's Eves I've had for ages. Lemsip says in reply, it wasn't a few drinks though. I could tell some of these people had been drinking at Kalenig to the point of getting violent. Alright, is Kalenig a place? Is it a place in South Wales? Alright. Is it? I said, was it in Cardiff? Maybe it's not. When people get drunk, they do, though, don't they, Lemsip? And if you're a woman on her own, it's not nice to be. Certainly, it's not nice to be around those kinds of people, especially. It seems all through the Christmas holidays, many drink intermittently all day, as they did on Christmas Day. And in the same way, you and I will drink tea or coffee. That's true. I see them outside with their children in the street and parks looking pretty zombified. Their New Year's Eve is their last blast at it. They claim it's because of the pressure of family life, as many mothers of young children work full-time now, so they're not used to being around their children day after day. Yeah, that's sad. I mean, that is a sign of the times, Lemsip. I mean, the feminists promised that this would be liberation, and all it's done is it's broken up families, which I think is why the Illuminati invented feminism. But yeah, I mean, now I don't know, the good old-fashioned British housewife really no longer exists. On New Year's Day, they are nursing their hangovers and have made New Year's resolutions to cut down alcohol, or have started dry January. Yes, the most commonly broken New Year's resolution of all, Lemsip, yes. But how long will that last? About 35 minutes. They've gone cold turkey on it. Yes, after they've eaten all the Christmas ones. There is enforced time off work for many these days, as workplaces are shut except for shops, libraries and essential work. It used to be from lunchtime on Christmas Eve to January the 2nd, or the nearest weekday to it, if January the 2nd falls on a Saturday, so Monday. But now it's the same as school Christmas holidays, 2 weeks long. Yeah, well, I was actually quite surprised that the lighthouse at Portland Bill was open on that New Year's Day. Neil and I weren't expecting to be able to go into it. I always used to return to work for 2 or 3 days between Christmas and the New Year, if I could. I hated time off at that time of year. I hated to be around people in crowded places and didn't like saving holiday leave for when I badly needed the odd day off in November. Yeah, I mean, I never used... Now I'm self-employed, I organise my own time off, but when I was a porter, I had I started off with 3 weeks leave a year, which went up to 6 weeks after I'd been there like 10 years. But you had to organise, even, I mean, it's very generous, but you have to get 10 years of service to get that. I think you get up to 6 weeks, including loo days. But you have to organise it very carefully. In one job, we had come in on Boxing Day and New Year's Day. We only had Christmas Day off. I didn't mind, but we were not given time off in lieu for it. Weren't you? Who were you working for then? It meant I could take leave in early December when I wasn't busy with something. Some places are open on Boxing Day, such as cafes, though. It was the same when I went camping on commercial camping and caravan sites when there were lots of families. Many of the parents were drinking alcohol in their caravans or just outside their tents every evening and then waking me up at night when I had an early night, effing and blinding at each other. Oh, yeah. Camping could be... I found that was the case with the conscious tribal gathering, I must say. It wasn't the kind of sweetness and like Glastonbury atmosphere I was expecting. I was a steward at music festivals, and family camping was my most hated shift, as we did circuits of it to look visible and look for people who were needing help. A lot of hungover parents yelling at their children. There is no babysitting in the kids' field, so parents had to stay with their children who were under a certain age. All right. Well, thanks for the memory. Thanks for the memory, though, Lemsip. I do. And Neil says to Lemsip, "Oh dear, yes. In Orkney, workers went back on the January the 3rd. I think this is down to hangovers being such the norm that even the council there accept it as a way of life. Ben and I had about 3 glasses of wine between us, but we were fine the next day. I just don't drink much at all, as it affects me in other ways. But as Ben was with me, it was our personal in-house celebrating. I think Ben enjoyed getting out for New Year, and I would be happy to invite him down again." Oh, thank you, Neil. I'd love to come again, because, it was lovely to get away for the New Year. I haven't done that, like I said, since, 12 years since I was a porter. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, you actually are quite a light drinker compared to me. I was surprised how, we got I bought some booze, but I think I had most of it. Lemsip says to Neil, 3 glasses of wine is okay for New Year's Eve. New Year's Day wasn't a bank holiday one time, but too many people didn't come into work that day because of hangovers or late nights. It was made one in 1977. All right. So it wasn't out of the goodness of their hearts, Lemsip, whatever is. Before then, most people went back to work on the 27th or 28th, unless Christmas Day was on a Saturday, so there were bank holidays on the following Monday and Tuesday, so people didn't return to work till the 28th, including retail workers, as shops were always closed on bank holidays too. Only school children had 2 weeks off, and university students had 3 or 4 weeks off, but they didn't get half-term holidays, right? I'm guessing you're quite a bit older than me, Lemsip. Because things have certainly changed, haven't they? Yeah. Thanks for those comments about both of you, Neil and Lemsip, about your memories. Thank you very much. Right, we move on. Notice of Old Tech exclusive. One World Government celebration. Lemsip says, "Ugh, Tony Blair." God, yes, he was horrible, wasn't he? You've probably guessed, Lemsip, that was a kind of sarcastic and ironic advertisement for a video I could only upload to Alt Tech because it's just too bad. Apart from that, okay, New Year Adventure videos from the Underground says, "Watching now. I hope you were shown the stone quarry with the strange carvings in it. There used to be a museum on the Isle with some curious finds." Videos. If you go to the description box, you'll see I include a link to the previous video that I made with Neil in that area, and we actually went to that stone quarry with all the sculptures. It's amazing. It really is. Dilute every culture with global population is their aim. Then the experts will run everything for you. I know. It's pure Davos, New World Order, Illuminati crap. The owner of Camelot Castle in Tintagel was offered a lot of money to house the migrants. He refused because they would wreck his building and his employees would have been replaced, not having it. John Mappin, yeah, he's a good guy. John Mappin has interviewed people like Stephen Greer and Andrew Bridgen and people like that. Yeah, I like John Mappin. I'm glad he's got hold of that castle and the hotel. Him and his wife, they've done a really good job. It's the Mr. By the way, I should say there are timestamps here. I'm not going to click on them because he's put half a dozen here. It's the Mr. Smith effect, as in the Matrix. Actually, I will click this one because I can't remember what he's talking about.
Another one. All the colleges have their own bell towers, so they're all.
It's the Mr. Smith effect as in the Matrix. The group mind inserts itself into someone's mind to negate the idea of survival. It's been proven many times that we do survive. The group mind inserts itself. I don't understand that video. That sounds very interesting, but I don't quite understand what you mean. Do you mean survival as in life after death, or survival of the nation, or white people? I'm not sure what you mean. Please do explain. And here, is another timestamp here.
You catch another coach. Let us hope it's working this time, and the computer doesn't say no.
Oh right, yeah. There you go, as proof. You were told something very personal and no one would know. Painting's very well done. Oh, right. I think these timestamps might not actually be correct videos because... But anyway, I'm glad you enjoyed the video. You've been through it all. You got timestamps. And as Neil says here, we took Ben to the quarry last summer. See the Apollo Detectives 13 for that occurrence. Yeah, and indeed, if you go to the description box, like I say, my Dorset Earth Mysteries appearance. It was the weather was beautiful then. It was the exact opposite. Neil continues, yes, survival after death is fact, even if skeptics say otherwise. There is too much data to ignore and explain away, plus their explanations go beyond their own Occam's razor. Spelt wrong, I'm sure. Well, I think it's a K. Yeah, there's several spellings of Occam's, but I think that's one of them, Neil. They hardly ever investigate this stuff, but somehow provide all their answers. One skeptic attended a medium reading concerning his friend's recent passing. He was not buying the whole thing till the medium was told to say the words pickled onions. Apparently the guy who passed away was an avid cruncher of pickled onions, and it was this minor obscure habit that convinced him it was legit. All right, so that was kind of like it was one of these like messages. Give me a message that only I would know, but he's unmistakable. Well, if it made him convinced him it was legit, that's something. Because a lot of skeptics they'd go into mental gymnastics to get around that with all kinds of obscure claims like, oh, the medium broke into my house and read my diary. Oh, the medium's has spent the last 5 years sifting through my rubbish and finding the pickled onion tins and things like that. But that's good and that's interesting, Neil. I'll talk to you a bit more about that actually privately. Same video, popcorn boxing. Enjoyed the Dickinson. Thanks. Ben Emlyn-Jones, chat on the sofa. Oh, thank you very much, popcorn boxing. New Year's Day, popcorn boxing. I've never heard of fag butt readings. Yes, I know. And I say underneath, what next? Toenail clipping readings. And Popcorn says, "Lol." Yes, and believe it or not, yes, there is now there are now people involved in divination of people who leave cigarette ends and the pattern of ash in the ashtray. It's like tea leaf reading, but with, as I said, fag butts. God, can you believe it? Oh dear. That's really quite strange. Isn't it? That's like something from the goodies. New Year. All right, the lights were low. Put in a timestamp here. Hi Ben, be great to do a video on Hunter. All right, I think I know which Hunter you mean. Let's have a look.
Any sort of like further movement or action or anything like that, Hunter Selkirk just suddenly slumped into a trance, and the people that were standing there witnessed this ectoplasm come out of his nose and get.
Oh, Hunter. All right, not Hunter Biden. All right, yeah. Maybe I'll talk more. I don't know much about it, but I'm sure Neil will provide some answers there. Yeah, definitely. Right, Crazy Plane Lady. I'm actually going to do an update on the Crazy Plane Lady. There's more information that's come to light. I mean, I've got a whole list of videos I need to do. It will be a while before I get them all done. Carolyn Murphy says, the thing that makes no sense to me is why the guy she's accusing of not being real did not say anything. It's very difficult for anyone not to respond under those conditions, even when a camera focuses in on him. It's not clear and it's all very brief, a bit off. Yeah, this is an amateur camera from another passenger filming this woman going, having a meltdown, and they're filming her. Probably the reason the guy she's accusing of not being real didn't say anything, because it would be a bit odd if he suddenly came out with that wouldn't look good, would it? I mean, he's trying to keep a low profile. Bluebeam says on reply to comments 88, what do you think of Brian Dunning, the UFO movie they don't want you to see? Right, I have watched it. And Bluebeam says it's a debunking documentary. Yes. In fact, I said, thanks for reminding me. Someone else has suggested I watch it. I have watched it. At least, to be honest, I'd had a few glasses of wine when I watched it. I'll have to watch it again because I was a bit tipsy. I didn't spot anything that was particularly original. Brian Dunning is he's the kind of skeptic of skeptics, yeah. Maybe I should say more. I'll watch it again and maybe say more another time. I probably won't do a review. I didn't actually see, like I said, there's nothing in it that really sprung to mind as particularly original. It is a debunking video, yeah, as you'd expect from Brian Dunning. Right, Epstein's List, a Miami Aliens live stream. Hugo Rune, yes, you are live. Thank you, Hugo. Hugo Rune, I'm confused. You are not live. Oh, right. Well, I must be one or the other, Hugo. Surely. Rich Horden says. On Epstein's List and Miami Aliens live stream. Same video. I'm live! Oh, good. Carolyn Murphy says here, this is the same lady who commented on the Crazy Plane Lady on Epstein's List. Found you through watching you on Eric Von Essex the other night. Great and interesting chat. I've subscribed. Thank you very much, Carolyn. Much appreciated. And thanks for watching me on that brilliant. That was really good. It was Fockham Hall Radio. Great name that is. Eric Von Essex is the YouTube channel. I've actually got a link on HPANWO Voice about it, but I've known his name's Chris. I've known him for many years. I've interviewed him a couple of times, and he's interviewed me, and it was a really, really good discussion. So thank you very much, Carolyn. Epstein's List, Dark Corners, new camera mate. The image quality is 1010. Right, was not on that. Not on that. Was it on that one? Yes. All right. I didn't mention it, Dark Corners, but thanks. Yeah, I actually have a new webcam. I'm using it now as well, which is actually pretty good. It's got a bit of lens flare. You might see a bit of lens flare there. Looks like kind of slight rainbow effect. All right, but apart from that, it provides a picture that's almost as good as my previous webcam. So yeah, I needed to get a new one actually because the old one was really breaking down badly. Epstein's List, Sam Rowbotham or Rowbotham. I don't believe Epstein was terminated. He was spirited back to Israel. He was a pedo school teacher in New York, promoted by the Z word Les Wexner. Z, you know what I mean by it's to be honest, I don't quite know what the Z word means. Anyway, to gain a deeper insight into child sexual abuse, read The Gnostics or David Icke. I do. I read a lot of David Icke. I've read a couple of Gnostic books as well. Ken Wilber in particular. Most people prefer or pretend it does not exist. It has been prevalent since humanity was put here by the demiurge, the OT god they have most people worshipping, who is clearly the devil. Right, that's this idea of the demiurge is a very Gnostic thing. The Cathars believed that the world was a creation of what they called Rex Mundi, which was the same as the demiurge, which is essentially Lucifer. And there's other names for it as well. The Metatron, Amitak Stanford calls it the demiurge. But yeah, I think Epstein was terminated. I think it's unlike. I mean, why would they keep him alive? I mean, what do they owe him? Why would they risk him being spotted by someone who recognises him? I mean, but I don't know was he ever a school teacher? I don't know. But Les Wexner, I've heard of. I think Les Wexner was a student of Kinsey, wasn't he? What was his name? Kinsey, the guy who used to watch people shagging in his laboratory and put it down to some kind of study when he was simply just a pornographer. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, it's very, very sinister because they go into this kind of it's disgusting to talk about, but there are these people who believe that, the guy who wrote that horrible thing, was it a childhood experience of sex and things like this? It's disgusting. Yeah, and of course Epstein was, that's what he would have been. That's what he was in jail for. Anyway, we have Gary Robinson now on Epstein's list. I was really surprised to see George Lucas on the list. He was on. The fact that he was on the list doesn't mean he was involved in anything sinister. It just means he somehow had some connection with Epstein. I mean, this is why people are making jokes about Stephen Hawking. His name's on the list because Epstein made friends with a lot of scientists because he had an interest in science for reasons alien scientist Jeremy Riss thinks is to do with anti-gravity. I don't know. Gary continues. It's since been announced by the whistleblower Doomcock that Doomcock, that's a good name, that George's name was added simply because he once met Jeff Epp. Yeah, it could be something. It could be as simple as that. It's been claimed that the far left nutters who now run Lucasfilm had something to do with him being added to a copy of the list in the hope that people assume that he went to the island. I wouldn't put it past them, Gary. I seriously wouldn't put it past them. They are that willing to misrepresent and lie about people. Definitely. An employee has recently released details of conversations within the company in which certain people have voiced their plans for his downfall. Well, yeah. I mean, they're doing this to everyone. I mean, they've. I mean, you think, well, hang on, it's his bloody company. It's called Lucasfilm, which, of course, because it's now owned by Disney, they can do what the hell they like with it, including getting rid of him. But in what the hell? I mean, they do it so. Oh, let's get rid of him. It's like these Harry Potter fan clubs who've cancelled J.K. Rowling. I mean, can they even do that legally? Can they actually cancel the creator of a franchise, which is the purpose of their club? In the meantime, Lucasfilm have announced a new Star Wars movie featuring Rey. Ah, right, another box office flop coming up. May they lose billions. The film will be directed by the feminist activist called Charmine Obe-Chinoy. Oh, God, who's become famous for speaking about how she likes to make men feel uncomfortable. Yeah, she means white men, of course. How much longer can they keep making these woke flops? Cheers. Oh, well, basically, as long as they think two things are keeping them making it: the fact they haven't run out of money yet, and the fact that it's actually having an effect on people, and people are actually believing their shit. Both of these are finite resources, and they're not going to last much longer. So look, despite this is an awful development, but Gary, I think it is on its last legs. Dark Corner says here, I for one will not be watching the Rey movie. Neither hell shall I. Gary says there's been some news today that it might have been shelved in favour of the Mandalorian movie. Right, well that might be some. It depends what the Mandalorian movie is going to be like, Gary. But it can only be good if they're getting rid of this anyway. It's like they are signs. There are real signs that they're caving in. I mean, the fact that the latest Indiana Jones movie, which I didn't see because I thought that the trailer looked so damn awful. You know, it's, you know, and the opening scene is Indy as this bitter old man sitting on an underground train in New York in sort of 1968 or something. Mutt has died in the Vietnam War. The perfect character to take the franchise onward. He's very likeable, very well developed character of a son, killed in Vietnam. And so there's a poor childless Indy sitting alone on a train. A bit, you know, this crumpled old man. It's just like Luke Skywalker in Star Wars. I mean, I just that enough is enough for me not to watch it. The fact they insult this wonderful, this brilliant character, this really, really energetic, masculine, positive, intelligent, brave figure that was in the original Indiana Jones movies, and turn him into this creepy old bagman sitting on an underground train, crawling around the New York subway, mourning his son. I mean, it's just horrible. It's really horrible. And but as Gary has explained, Gary knows people on the inside. The film was basically pulled at the last minute and completely rehashed, re-edited. I think they shot a couple of extra scenes, and the ending was completely changed. Not that I've watched it, but I wouldn't watch it anyway. Pioneer Spirit, Porter's Pride and Porter's Dignity, brother. This is the same show we did on Third Rail, talking about Epstein's List of Miami aliens. It's the same subjects, Trevor. Yeah, it is the very same subjects. Do check out Pioneer Spirit on YouTube, on BitChute. Definitely. Now, Lyle Watson, an old video of mine. We have Alison Armstrong, who says, I knew him in Oxford in the 70s. Was he here in Oxford, Alison? Oh, wow. He'd been fascinating to talk to. I bet he would. Please tell me more. Tell me more about what he said. Like I said, I've been reading his books, and they're amazing books. Funnily enough, I inherited them from my mum when she died. And reading them, it's pretty obvious my mum did have an open mind in her youth. Otherwise she wouldn't. She read Colin Wilson as well. I mean, who was a hospital porter? Porter's Pride and Porter's Dignity. So obviously she had an open mind as a young woman. But that all changed, unfortunately. No Easy Day book review, a new video. Interesting, says Hugo Roon. Yeah, it was. I did find it. It wasn't what it said, it was what it didn't say that interested me. Same video, Angela Kenyon. I bet he's not dead. Obvious as. Alright. Well, I mean, do we have any... Thing is, could he still be alive? I mean, thing is, if they're going to announce in the media that he's been killed 3 times, obviously, either 2 times they're lying, or all 3 times they're lying. So, I don't know, I think it's obvious he's not dead, but it's certainly... There's no reason to believe that this is the true story of the death of bin Laden, yeah. And Angela Kenyon says, mythologized, destration cover-up. Well, yeah, I mean, I did wonder why it's necessary to finally mythologize the death of bin Laden. Maybe it was because it was close to the 10th anniversary of the event, and the globalists had another plan for the following decade. Yeah, Anyway, reply to comments 85. Oh, it's an old one with Gary Robinson. He's been going through my old comments reply. Ben, mate, here's a quick Woke Watch update for you, as it's been a while since I've done one. Aha, here we go. This'll be fun. The Hollywood whistleblower Doomcock has just... All right, I'll have to check that out. Has just announced that he's been contacted by Nintendo, who have asked him for help. They're currently producing a live-action movie based on their Legend of Zelda games. Nintendo is an anti-woke company, and last year their Super Mario Bros. Movie crushed all competition at the global box office, and in particular left Disney eating their dust. Oh really? I didn't know that Nintendo was anti-woke. I've not actually seen any of the Super Mario films. I've never played the games. I mean, I was not really a computer game person in the 90s. I mean, Sonic the Hedgehog and all those things, they just passed me by. I got back into computer games in the 2000s. They've informed Doomcock that they are being pressured by Sony Pictures to make the new Legend of Zelda movie woke by reducing the male hero to a manzel in distress who has to be rescued by the princess. Apparently, these requests are coming from BlackRock and Vanguard via Sony Pictures. Oh, we talked about them before, haven't we? Yeah. About the fact that they are bankrolling all the woke stuff at Disney, yeah. Who are distributing the movie? Oh, right, oh, God. Because they could pull the plug, couldn't they? Well, our Nintendo... Does Nintendo have the balls to go independent? That's the question. So once again, we have those two companies pushing wokeness, which is further proof that all this madness is being engineered. I guess Neil Sanders was right when he said your thoughts are not your own. Pride and dignity, brother. Pride and dignity. And Gary says, P.S. You should have come out to that party at the Cowley Works Club. It was a really good night. Oh, thanks, Gary. And I'm sorry I didn't, because, well, this is something private Gary and I were discussing. He was in Oxford. I couldn't make it in the end. My energy levels just went crashed. I know. And I've just been doing so much, and my energy was gone. I'm sorry, Neil. I'm sorry, Gary. When you're next in the area, let me know. Or I'll tell you what, I've got an idea. I'm going to contact you about this. We should meet up later. I'll contact you privately about it. Yeah, definitely. And but unfortunately, Neil Sanders has changed. His book, Your Thoughts Are Not Your Own, is a good book. I read the first volume, and I've got the second volume. I read some of it. But Neil has changed now. He's become a skeptic, essentially, and he's helping Brent Lee with his, how I left the World of Woo movement, Gary says here, on Epstein's list, Ben, mate, I've just seen a video on Clown Planet's YouTube channel, which supposedly shows 10-foot tall beings on a side of a hill in Brazil. I have to say the video is quite spooky. I wonder if there's a connection. Right, I think I've seen this, Gary. Let's have a look. Yeah, I've seen this. Yeah, I've seen this. You can't see it, unfortunately. Yeah, that was weird because... Yeah, when you look at the scale, you can see quite clearly. That these humanoid figures that are really far too tall to be people. It's like that one with the big mountainside, and you see a figure on the side of the mountain, and it's like a couple of people sent me this, and it's like about 10 miles away. This mountain, you can see this figure quite visible on the mountain peak. Could there be a connection? Well, it's odd these things happen at the same time, isn't there? I mean, there's a lot of speculation about how the aliens got the coordinates wrong. It was supposed to be Antarctica, but they got the figures the wrong way around and ended up in Miami. Yes. I put a little joke comment on the video saying, well, they should have gone to the publishing houses of Ursa Minor and got hold of a paper version of the A to Z of the universe instead of relying on cheap Pleiadian technology. I think that's pure speculation, but anyway, it's a No Easy Day book review. Tessa1111. Ben, it makes sense if it was one of Bin Laden's doubles. Get rid of the body so nobody knows. Yes, good, Tessa. That's a great point. What if they did kill him, and then they found out it was one of the doubles? I mean, they did mention his beard was all dark, like he dyed it. Or maybe he has to dye it grey when he's playing Bin Laden. Yeah, how about that? Yeah. And Tessa said they didn't want Bin Laden's body buried on land to become a revered worship place for Muslims. That doesn't, Tessa. Yeah, I think you're being. I think you probably agree with me on this based on your previous comment. That's a silly excuse that was made up by the government when people started asking these questions that I've asked. Right, visiting the Senedd. That's my most recent video. First, says Dark Corners UK. Well done, DC UK. Gold tinfoil hat is on its way to you right now. Israel Diego Rivera, genius to the real genius, says on visiting the Senedd. Keep exposing those Welsh UFO leaks, Ben. Leaks spell L-E-E-K. Yes. Yes, the old leaks. Yes, you've got to have your leeks and your daffodils, don't you? Diego Rivera visiting the Senedd. I'm surprised you didn't break into the song Land of Our Fathers. Oh, God. I wasn't in the mood. I'll tell you, I wasn't in the mood. That's for rugby. That is for St David's Day and for rugby matches. Diego Rivera, your face was missing from the gallery of famous Welsh people. I know. How dare they omit me? Yeah. Visiting the Senedd. Oh, right, we've got like a timestamp, 4047. Here we go.
But the Welsh on the side is Craig Weir. It's not a translation. Craig Weir.
Oh, right, yes. Oh, Torchwood HQ. Right, yes. This is... I've only watched a few clips of Torchwood. It looks like quite a good series. It was Captain Jack's spin-off series. It had a more adult kind of tone to it. But yeah, that was the mouse, the computer mouse building. What was it? The Millennium Centre. Yeah. I remember seeing it in Torchwood. Thanks, Dark Corners, yeah. Emlyn-Jones, how are you? Visiting the Senedd. I look forward to retiring to Shropshire. All right. Well, if you do, invite me round to stay with you. I'd love to see you there in your new place. Yes. Hugo Rune says in visiting the Senedd, I'm not English. All right. Sorry, Hugo, if I called you that. Also, I notice how you pronounce Senedd. Perhaps it's the source of the Senate in the USA. I think it is a borrowed word from Latin. Because of course the Senate is also, it's a Latin word that's used in English as well. Welsh has a large Latin vocabulary which is inherited from Celtic, which borrowed a lot of Latin words during the Roman period, such as fenest, stafell, castell, etc. Now there are some, you've got to be careful though, because there are some words in Welsh like llyfr, llaeth, which sound like words from the Romance family, like French, Spanish, etc. And therefore it's easy to assume that they were borrowed from Latin, but they're actually much older words. They're actually root words from Italo-Celtic. Therefore they are indigenous to both families, that is Celtic, Irish, Welsh, etc., and Romance, French, Spanish. They are all very ancient indigenous words to both of those families. I was actually talking with a guy I know, he's an Englishman, he can speak Welsh, who's learnt it, and he was saying that, having a version of Welsh with a purely Celtic vocabulary. In other words, like Anglish. I've talked about Anglish before. Yeah, it's interesting. It's just a thought anyway. But Senedd is pronounced. It's pronounced. The double D is pronounced like a the sound in Welsh, as it is in Spanish. Well, it's a single D in Spanish, but it's odd that it is obviously related to that word. Yeah. Visiting the Senedd. Nothing as it seems. A gender study professor's apron. Is that really a thing? Yes, you will. Yes, it is. In fact, you'll see it flying over Brussels, and it's the silly blue flag with the stars on, which we should not be flying in this country because we had Brexit, and I consider it an act of treason. An act of treason that any institution, especially a government building, flies the European Union flag. Oh, nothing answers his own question here. I get the point you're asserting, but why don't see the search for independence from Britain as more than a union with the EU? Sorry, you are too easily dismissing the point of sovereignty. Sovereignty. That's an odd spelling for sovereignty. I suggest you watch my Brexit videos, nothing as it seems. I've made a series of them. I do consider, you're asserting, but why don't you see the search for independence from Britain as more than a union with the EU? The union with an EU was actually an annexation and subjugation of the country to a continental empire, and I explain why. We achieved independence in the same way India did with Gandhi, and the United States did with George Washington. Britain's independence from the EU was never discussed in those romantic terms, those comparisons. But I think it should be. I think it should be discussed the same way people talk about the Easter Rising in Ireland, and things like that. It really should be. It really should be, and it's not. Hugo Rune Senedd. I keep hearing Ukraine. This is where I had my accident. I'm sorry, Hugo. I'm very sorry. I mentioned it once because the Senedd was flying the bloody Ukrainian flag, wasn't it? And I know that's got bad memories for you, and I'm sorry about that. Yeah. Visiting the Senedd, 3600. That's a 36, a timestamp. My eyes are watering.
Crafties, if you're watching, I'm about to go through your tunnel.
Yes. Yes, I went right through your tunnel. In the nicest possible way. I actually went through the tunnel under their house. Yeah, I did. I've shown you the tunnel because, of course, I made a video. If you go to my Glastonbury video, I did a whole segment in the beginning with the crafties going around there where they live. Hugo Rune visiting the Senedd. An hour in. Seriously, Ben, thank you for this. I may have to watch again. Yes, yes, yes. Break ties with England, no more UK. Fuck the king. Sorry, no, fuck the fucking EU. Sorry. No, forget the fucking EU. Total independence for Cymru. Sorry. Alright, Hugo. Okay. I don't agree for reasons I've stated, because total independence for Cymru from England would mean the exact opposite with the EU. And so many people who call themselves Welsh nationalists don't understand this. And I don't know why. Ugh. Anyway, Hugo, cheers. Hugo says here in Visiting the Senedd, I'll definitely have to watch this again. You're making me rethink myself. Thank you, Ben. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome, Hugo. Senedd. Come visit me, Ben, please. I wish to challenge the system. I'll watch this again tomorrow. Thanks, mate. I will come and see you some point. Maybe I'll probably come with Jam Noise. It's bad memories, things like that, where you live. Senedd, Tessa 111. So William is the Prince of Snail. Yes, he's the snail. Have you seen the flag with the little red snail, the red dragon with the little red snail on? Yeah. Abatawi Man says on Senedd. Abatawi Man comes from Swansea, I'm guessing, because of your name. I enjoyed your video, Ben. I'm pro-independence. The EU was an obstacle to Welsh independence, and I'm glad it has been removed. Well, praise the Lord, we have a Welsh guy who's pro-independence who understands this. Abatawi Man, can you please get your fellow Taffies to get this point? Right, if you're going to be into independence, you can't be into independence and say we want to get rid of the bloody English, unless let's join the EU, let's have the euro, let's be an effective member state. No, you have to tear up both flags, the Union Jack and the gender study professor's apron. Abatawi Man says. It's quite hard for the Welsh people to engage with Senedd legislation because Wales virtually has no national media of its own. Yeah, I mean, this was kind of what I discussed with the black guy who was behind the counter, because he was saying that he believed that the thing to do with the 20-mile-hour limit was all above board because it had gone through this 4-stage process they have when it comes to. Oh, hang on. Okay. When it comes to, I've started, so I'll finish. When it comes to public consultation, he said people only started messing around and claiming it was all wrong after the end of that period when it was passed into law. And I made the point, and indeed people need to realise this. And indeed, I think people are doing this with the online harms bill. We mustn't wait for these things to be made law. We have to challenge them when they're at the early stages as part of legislation. We have to nip them in the bud of the legislative process. And so it's important with people in Wales to just sod the national media, do your own research. And based on what you've said here, Abatawi Man, you're well on the way, so well done. Well done indeed. And that's the end of hour number 2, so we'll come back for hour number 3 shortly. Okay, welcome to hour number 3, and we're almost through the YouTube comments, and I've just got alt text to do. But Dopegar says here, that's a good name, Dopegar. Says here on a No Easy Day book review, hi Ben, I think I might read this. Looks fascinating. I recommend to you by Sam Knight, The Premonitions Bureau. Just reading it now, it looks right up your street. Oh right, The Premonition. I've heard of that somewhere. That sounds The Premonitions Bureau, a true account of death foretold. Oh my goodness me. Oh, I've seen this somewhere. I recognise it. The Premonitions by Sam Knight. Yeah. How the Aberfan disaster prompted one psychiatrist to launch a nationwide search for seers who could predict the future. On the 20th of October 1966, 10-year-old Emlyn-Jones from Aberfan told her mother about a dream she had the night before. I dreamt I went to school and there was no school there. Something black had come down all over it. And of course the next day there was that terrible disaster which killed 144 people in the school. This little Aberfan is this little village not far from Cardiff, actually, where I was the other day. And there were several people. Several of the kids didn't go to school. There's several people didn't board the Titanic. That they were going to go. They had tickets and they were going to get on, and they said someone just told me to turn around and walk away and not get on that ship. There's loads of other examples like that. Thanks, Dope Car. Sounds very interesting. Visiting the Senedd, Gary Robinson. Ben, mate, totally off topic. No, that's not like you, Gary. However, Echo Base Network recently featured an interview with Frank Herbert from the 70s discussing the similarities between Dune and Star Wars. His team identified 16 elements that would hold up in court, but Frank said it was not his style to take someone to court. Oh, honestly, man, I mean, you can't. The thing is, plagiarism is like notoriously. Plagiarism suits are just nonsense. I mean, they're almost all complete crap. that there's only one, Gary, there's only one difference between plagiarism and inspiration. And you know what it is? Sales figures. I mean, it just gets nuts. I mean, people sue other authors for plagiarism because they're doing better than they are. It's envy. J.K. Rowling was sued by this person. I mean, it's almost never do plagiarism cases actually win. It's extremely rare for a plagiarism case actually to be sustained by the court. What happens is what plagiarism case does is it causes the author you're suing to drop everything they're doing and not work on their books to deal with the court case. This is what happened to J.K. Rowling. This is why one of the Harry Potter books was like 2 years late, because she was dealing with this idiot cow in court. She was sued by this woman whose own books had only sold a couple of thousand copies. The thing is, I know that if someone wanted to, right, there's about a dozen people who might take me to court for my books, the Roswell trilogy, for Rockall, and for Evansland. I know and indeed some of my short stories. And I know for a fact there's probably a dozen people, I think, I can imagine. I could probably make a list of probably even more who would have a case to sue me for plagiarism, but they won't do it because I'm not a bestseller yet. If I ever become a bestseller, you can bet they will do it. Oh, it's a bloody. And he says, I'm glad Frank said it's not my style to take someone to court. Good, well done, Frank. He's a bit more mature. He's a bit more mature than most. George Lucas was quoted and his response was a little dismissive. I can only assume this is why George and his team have never mentioned Dune, since they are playing it safe. Frank said that George owed him dinner at the very least. Cheers. That's more like it. You just owe me dinner. It was inspiration. You gave me inspiration. I'd be flattered if someone wrote a book, and it is someone. There's a guy called Bryce Zabel. You may know him. He's been writing a book basically with the same theme as the Roswell trilogy, and he may have got the idea from Steve Bassett the way I did. I don't give a damn. I'll buy the guy dinner. He can buy me dinner too. The fact of the matter is, look, it's like, you ever read the Tripods trilogy by John Christopher? It's about these aliens that go around in three-legged walking machines. That's what they did in War of the Worlds. Authors always take ideas from other authors. I mean, it's not plagiarism. It's not direct copying. It's just this. Something goes into my head. I put it into my head, and I come out with something that's not a copy of what went in. I'm not trying to take anything away from the person who gave this idea that went in my head. I'm developing it into my own from that. It's me. I mean, if plants would have to sue seeds if this was correct. It's nuts. It's nuts. I'm not going to rant about that any longer, but there you go. Tor Engen said on Christmas Eve live stream, Happy New Year! You should have got something from the Penderyn Distillery, the home of Welsh whiskey. Oh, I shouldn't I? Yes. I have actually had a bottle of Welsh whiskey once. Yeah. It's very nice too. Roy Bland said, did you guys ask Jay Windley to be on the show? I don't know. I mean, we've had Blue Earth thing. I'd be happy to talk to Jay Windley. I know that several people in the Apollo research community have spoken to Jay Windley. I've reviewed one of Jay Windley's TV shows where he completely fails to explain why they. Well, basically, what Jay Windley does is he said we can prove that the Apollo moon landings were not filmed in an outdoor studio at night. And you know how we're going to do it? We're going to recreate the entire scene in an outdoor studio at night. Idiot. Complete idiot. Tor Engen says here, this is the last YouTube comment I've got on the list on New Year Adventure. The last one, by the way, was on Apollo Detectives 13, the Sea Rock evidence, I should have said. Australia, Australia, we love you, amen. Where men are men and sheep are afraid. I thought that was Wales. Thank you, Tor Engen. Happy New Year. Okay, so we move on to BitShoot. So let's have a look at what we have here. Any comments? Well, I'm sure we'll have absolutely loads from Hugo Rune. There we go. Reply to comments 88. Discuss this video. Alright, we have here XSDNA, who says here, it's actually letter X, letter S, DNA. Hey Ben, thanks for the response. You got my name right first try, XSDNA, which leaves me feeling bad. I can't recall the guests' names. My comment regarding the Sea Rock, but it wasn't so much that someone was showing off, quite the opposite really, because he showed he was trying to muddy the waters. I should have been more clear. It was regarding the actual sea itself, which appears on the Sea Rock. Several guests were speculating why this sea was there. It was also pointed out in future official NASA photos. It was airbrushed out. Yeah, that's true. Some people have speculated it's got something to do with it's props. I mean, in studios, props sometimes have labels on them, and maybe the label was left visible by mistake. Some people even claim they've seen the letter C on the ground as well. That's a bit more dubious, I think. The group's discussion was basically trying to figure out why there would even be this letter C during the discussions of various ideas. The guest in question then said it wasn't the letter C at all, but by using his $600 version of Adobe After Effects, he could see it was clearly just a hair. Using Adobe After Effects would give him zero additional ability to see the Sea Rock in any more detail than someone else using normal zoom command on a web browser. Well, yeah, I think Jarrah made this point, didn't he? He did actually say that, yeah. While he may have been trying to show off he spends $600 a year on subscription fees, it doesn't make any difference. His statement was that by using this software, a video motion special effects software, it made it very obvious the Sea Rock was in fact just a hair. This means he was either trying to muddy the waters or completely make something up. Remember, the whole premise of his supposed opinion was, I used this special effects office to see clearly what you guys can't. Audience who may not be familiar with special After Effects may be tempted to agree, simply because it cost him £600. Yeah, that's a good point, XSDNA. You know, I actually think Jarrah said that somewhere in the video. I don't know if you got to that bit yet, but I think Jarrah made that point. But thanks very much. I've put a stamp there. Yeah, I have. Okay, so now we move on to New Year Adventure. That's reply to comments 88. New Year Adventure. Discuss this video. No comments. Storm Apocalypse livestream. Discuss this video. No comments. Epstein Lister Miami Aliens livestream. Discuss this video. Limoade said. Limoade. Definitely the cameras at the mall would have a load of footage on the location at any event that happened. Absolutely, Limoade, unless it was taken away and then the official report says, well, they weren't working, like with Diana. I mean, since I made this video, there has actually been some additional evidence and some additional possible footage from the mall. I've written a HPANWO voice article all about that, so you can check that out. No Easy Day book review. Discuss the video. No comments. Visiting the Seneth. Discuss this video. No comments. Right, that's no, I'll go through the BitChute. I'll go through the BitChute notifications now. So here we go. Scroll down we go. Scrolling down. Yeah, this is a good old Ray. I get notifications also for. I get a lot of notifications for. New video. What's that? Constantine Kissing versus Bill Maher. That should be good. That's on trigonometry. Yeah. I'm just looking through things. I have notifications for my subs as well, because my subscriptions. BitChute is turning into a good platform. I mean, honestly, I've just been watching Millennial and bloody. Millennial Woes. Every so often he says, "Oh, Odyssey's gonna go. It's gonna go. We're gonna lose it. It's gone. Next year, it won't be around." Now, I don't know if I've not heard anything about this. I know it was in trouble with the Financial Services Authority because of its crypto. But is it really on its last legs? I mean, Millennial Woes is such a bloody black pillar. I mean, I'm not going to take his word for it. No way. Keep going. Right, I don't see we've got any other comments on any other videos, any old videos. Keep going down. Keep going down, guys. We'll be nearly there. Oh, see, that's odd. There's no comments at all on older videos. That's odd. I sub to all kinds of weird people on YouTube, on BitChute. I sub to all the MegTows. I sub to a Sandman MegTow and Turd Flinging Monkey. That's just because they're bloody I don't know, because they're kind of hate follows in a way. That's it. That's the end. Okay, so I'll just go back up. It's because I don't know. I do watch a couple of their videos, but the MegTows, as you know, I've done an entire video about MegTows. They're so bloody depressing. They're just so goddamn awfully nihilistic and they have such this dark, negative, misanthropic, and cynical vision of womanhood that it's just unbelievable. I mean, they're like essentially male feminists. But if I do watch them occasionally just to have a laugh, I think. I mean, I hate follow loads of people. You know, I hate follow all the skeptics and I hate follow. I say hate follow. I mean, Professor Chris French. I don't hate. I quite like him actually. He's a nice guy. Yep, that's it. Right. So, mark all as read. Nothing happens. Oh, it's running. It's running slowly. Oh dear! I want to mark it all as red and nothing's happening. Sarah Kane has put up a video called "You Should Be Afraid of Flying." All right. And delete all. Right, that may be because there's this competency crisis people are going on about. Because the door blew off a plane. I can laugh because no one was hurt. Luckily, no one was sitting in the seat next to the door. There we go. Right. So now we go to Odyssey. All right, comments. Now, luckily, I get a nice list of comments here from people. And I go down here to various people where we can go. Right, where are we now? The problem is it's not always possible to see. I have to actually click and see. The problem with this comments is because I always click love hearts on things and I put in text comments on Odyssey. Alright, it was not that. So it's hard to see exactly when. I'll tell you what, I'll just go to the top and work my way down. Here we have visiting the Seneth. I'll just stop at the top and as soon as I get down I realise I've already answered it. I'll stop. Okay. This is visiting the Seneth. This is visiting the Seneth on Odyssey. And we have Sibiant Dreams. Sibiant Dreams, that's a good name. It's like in psychedelic, PSY. What a waste of Welsh slate and Welsh oak. The architecture is reminiscent of a modern concert venue or theatre. And that's pretty much what it is. Yeah, I suppose it is. Yeah, it's... Yeah, concert venue. It looks like one of those modern galleries you get, these art galleries and sort of theatres you get down on the South Bank in London, yeah. Mark Drakeford was never a very convincing Welsh name. Too many K's, that's right. There's no K in Welsh, that's right. Well, what is he? I mean, he hates the Welsh people and the Welsh nation so much. It's unlikely he actually is Welsh. Perhaps he's compensating by exaggerating his accent whenever he speaks in an official capacity. He always sounds to me like a Welsher than a Welsh caricature. Yeah, yes, you get these people who speak in these very exaggerated Newport accents. You know, thank you, and you know that they're just taking a piss, and this is a fake accent. Yeah, I mean, he's just he's just so horrible. I mean, he's such a bloody horrible soy boy. And I'll never forgive him or forget what he said after the Sarah Everard murder. And about how he was going, yes, maybe it's not a bad idea. A curfew for white males, yes. He said it in all seriousness when he knew that, you know, oh, was she just joking? Oh, that house, was it just a joke? Oh, I thought she was serious. Silly old me. Oh, I really was about to do something. You know, there was me drafting a bill. When I heard that, I went, "Oh God, my flesh crawled when I heard him talk like that." Oh yeah, the very fact that he even thought it was, the fact it even crossed his mind that we're dealing with something. Anyway, here we go. Right, we have Taki Zakura, probably of Taki Mag. Nothing to do with tacky, are you? The British ruling class never allowed English nationalism. Welsh and Scottish independence would leave England as the last colony of the British. Yeah, if you define British as like the Illuminati occupation, as I know people do, like in several kind of the English parliamentary movement, like the English Democrats and people like that, then yeah, it'll be like that moment when Russia left the Soviet Union. Do you remember? And the following day, the Soviet Union dissolved. England should leave the UK. Why should England leave the UK? Yeah, why not? We always say, well, Wales and Scotland need to leave the UK. What about England? What would happen if England left the UK? Oh, good point, Taki. Thank you very much. And we have here Epstein List and Miami Aliens live stream. What's this? Hang on. Oh, Soviet and Dreams again. Right, now this is when Sibian left a very long, interesting comment. And I actually left a text reply saying, "Thank you for your very long, interesting comment. I'll answer it on the reply to comments video." Sibian Dreams says here, "Thank you for this current and topical post. With regard to the Miami incident, holographics may have been sufficient to create the kind of experience described by the witnesses you have cited." Technically, although it makes me wonder why they would do that in the middle of a shopping centre rather than in the sky like Bluebeam style. Beyond that, DARPA have already told us they developed interfaces which allow wireless connections to be made between the brain and both sensors and transmitters. This ostensibly, this allows soldiers to control machines, but they can't stop themselves from drooling at the possibility of more far-reaching applications. Well, of course they're going to, aren't they? There's this video here. This is Odyssey.com DARPA.
Accessing the brain, not crudely, but ever more creatively. Utilizing other forms of technology and engineering, such as nanoparticulate matter that we can then create into sensors and transmitters that can be inhaled, ingested, rubbed on, that can then be migrated into the brain to form vast arrays of sensors and transmitters to be able to read information.
Oh, do you ever watch, I'm addressing you, Sibian Dreams, but also anyone else watching, do you watch Ashton Forbes? He's just been talking about that, what's it called? The Real Creepy Stories channel, the Glitter Factory, the story about the Glitter Factory. It's all on this channel called Real Creepy Stories, where there's like a whistleblower from inside a glitter factory that says glitter is being used as basically nanotechnology to put mind control agents into people's brains. I wouldn't put it past them. And Sibian says, perhaps this was a field test of a technology developed by their N3 or N-cubed project to create mass hallucinations. It might be. It might be exactly that, Sibian Dreams. Maybe they're just waiting to see how people respond, yeah. As you said, there was no federal or military response, so it seems these agencies knew about it and were happy to allow the local police to mount a theatrical response. Yeah, maybe. Let's click the more button here. There is a direction of travel here, maybe starting with the congressional hearing and David Grush. They have been polarising the population, steadily ramping up the percentage who are starting to believe there is something to the aliens narrative, with tantalising incidents like this. At the same time, they're still maintaining official denial to maintain a sceptical majority. This would be the optimal situation to have in society for launching a fake alien invasion. Everyone would need to feel vindicated. The believers would be able to say, I told you so, etc. The skeptics would be able to justify past government secrecy denial and their own compliance with it. I would expect more incidents like this and for them to occur with increasing frequency over the next few years. That, Sibian Dreams, that's probably the best comment I've had this particular cycle. That second paragraph in particular is you're very balanced there, because I thought you were going to say, the David Grush thing is all about covering up spy planes and things like that, and of course that's all nonsense as I've explained, but it could be the lead up to like a Project Bluebeam fake alien invasion scenario. Yeah, maybe this is the Black Swan event I keep hearing about, for when the elite go off to their bunkers in New Zealand and Hawaii. By the way, if ever there's some kind of summit in New Zealand and Hawaii, and all the Zuckerbergs and the Teals and all the others go off to attend this summit, be prepared for maybe some kind of fake alien invasion scenario. Maybe that's it. By the way, I'm going to do a whole video about that very, very soon. So that's an absolutely brilliant comment there, Sibian Dreams. Thank you very much. Ivan Kojedia says, Happy New Year! Happy New Year to you, Ivan. The Miami incident was highly... hang on. Oh, cancel. Hang on. There we go. Right, let's try. I was trying to repeat the same comment. Okay. The Miami incident was highly suspicious, and there definitely seems to be more to it than disorderly use. Yeah, definitely. Hopefully more information comes out. Interesting news. Thanks very much. Yes, indeed, Stefan. In fact, if you go to HPANWO Voice, I actually did an article the other day called Wanted New UKIP Lead... No, that's the most... No. New footage of Miami aliens, and there is some new footage that's just been released. Right, so we move back down here. No Easy Day book review. Sibian Dream. Oh, have I done that one? Hang on, come on. Open a new tab, right. We have No Easy Day book review now. Right, Sibian Dreams says here, I upvoted this. Thanks. Possibly a naive question, but was there ever any evidence linking Osama bin Laden to 9/11 or to any other particular terror attack? No. Well, there were two pieces of evidence. Firstly, Osama bin Laden said a couple of years earlier that he was planning to attack the United States. Secondly, there's this supposed confession video of this much fatter, much younger man than bin Laden with a black beard. That was supposedly a confession video. His real crime seems to have been that of existing while being a Saudi dissident. Yeah, I mean, he's a radical Islamist, so he's a bit of... So I have no time for him, but... You know, he hasn't said what any other, like, ranter says on various blogs about, oh, America this, the great Satan, etc. As for the book, I don't believe such books are ever released without something that goes on beyond the passive approval of the intel services. If they were not positively enthusiastic about this book, it would not have been published. I agree. I think if this book is what I think it is, then it is simply there to reinforce this message, including all the controversy which is associated with it, which is nothing more than what Richard D. Hall calls a phony bone of contention. And what's more, it came out about a year after the Bin Laden business. It may be to reinforce the message, maybe just to ram home the message. Right, this is... I've read that one. Okay. Storm Apocalypse livestream. And we have Sibian... Oh, right, that's Sibian Dreams, isn't it? Yeah, okay, right. Okay. This is a new comment. I thought it was the same one. Sibian Dreams says here... I upvoted this, although I don't like the long-winded livestream format, which seems to take forever to get to the heart of the matter. I didn't realise that research into climate control had such a long history. Clearly, if the ability to control climate exists to any significant extent, then it becomes meaningless to talk about climate change, as purported to be caused by rising CO2 concentrations, since this is now something now capable of being fate. Absolutely, indeed, I did make this point, I think, in my heatwave livestream during the summer. Or I was in 2022, the summer of 2022, which is very hot. They could simply manufacture the very things that they say are happening because of naughty, nasty humans giving off carbon. Yes, I'm sorry you don't like the live stream format. I mean, I do ramble on a bit, but that's because I'm interacting with the audience. Yeah. And I said here, thanks, my style tends to be on the verbose side, but I'm glad you did get something out of it. And Sibian Dreams replies, I'm happy to watch someone be verbose if they drill down into the detail in the way you do. I realise live stream is for a different audience who can organise their time well enough to participate as it is streamed, which perhaps isn't me. I guess I'm the more passive and spoon-fed type who watches prepared videos, mulls them over and then comments. Thanks again for the upload and for the excellent resource base at HPANWO TV. You're very welcome, Sibian, and thank you very much. I'm glad you like HPANWO TV and you appreciate my contribution. I really do. Much appreciated. New Year adventure? Dark Corners UK, congratulations on conquering your fear of heights. Thank you very much, Dark Corners. Happy New Year, Ben. I won't put a text reply, but never. But I hope you'll understand. Dark Corners, I'm replying to all your comments on this particular upload because then I have to put in random numbers and things. Happy New Year to you too. He says, looking forward to watching this video. Hope you enjoy it, Dark Corners. Dark Corners, can we have a watch party of the film The Lighthouse? Yeah, why not? I'll make a note of it now. I'll put it here. Hang on, here we go. Good idea. I was actually thinking of that. Watch party. The Lighthouse. Which a film I've actually not seen and I'd like to see because it looks just perfect, and you know, lighthouses and things are quite interesting places. So thank you very much for those comments, Dark Corners UK. Reply to comments 88. And we have here, Don't Have Vid says, season's greetings to you and all the other bros and sisters. Oh, season's greetings to you, Don't Have Vids. And Don't Have Vid says, hi bro, how you doing? Hi. I'll just put a text reply there. Paper Beats Rock says here, oh, he's got rid of his Christmas hat now. Yes, I can compare the two. I did. You can disagree. What was that about? Oh, I'm sorry. Paper Beats Rock. I'm a kind of you'll have to remind. Sorry. Oh, you're talking about Jesus being white. Okay. You can disagree. That's fine. And no, olive skin, dark hair is shithead logic. As I illustrated. Well, no. You said that Jesus would have been related to the Greek colony in the area, which is there's no evidence that that's the case. As a Sephardic Jew, it's unlikely he would have had any relations with those people, including marriage or anything like that, or any of his ancestors. As I illustrated, North Africa and the Middle East had essentially been southern Europe for many hundreds of years. It wasn't the Middle East we see today. The Jews had not yet finished doing to Rome, etc., things I can't say, unfortunately, just to stop people going to jail. Right, Paper Beats Rock. I think you'll find actually that so you're saying basically it was a white European area 2,000 years ago. I don't think that's the case. I mean, we can look into this. I mean, if you're wrong, if I'm wrong and you're right, I will admit that straight away. But we'll look into the demographic history of that area. I think you'll find it hasn't actually changed considerably. That really the only way it's changed in the Holy Land is the immigration of the Ashkenazi. That's it. Which the Ashkenazi make up the majority of the population of Israel now. They even look down their nose at the Sephardim. You don't know what you don't know, Ben. Any gonk can regurgitate the tepid diarrhea that's been spoon-fed to them by the electric J-word. Okay, Lentulus's letter. All right, what's this? A noble and lively face with hair. Okay, with fair and slightly wavy hair. Black and strong, curving eyebrows. Intense, penetrating blue eyes. This is quoting someone called Lentulus's letter. Intense, penetrating blue eyes and an expression of wondrous grace. His nose is rather long. His beard is almost blonde, although not very long. His hair is quite long, and has never seen a pair of scissors. His neck is slightly inclined, so that he never appears to be bitter or arrogant. His tanned face is the colour of ripe corn, and well proportioned. It gives the impression of gravity and wisdom, sweetness and good, and is completely lacking in any sign of anger. Holy Land magazine, Franciscan Order, Holy Land Press, Spring 1998. All right. Who's that describing? Is that describing Jesus? You don't actually say what the reference is here. Lentulus. Let's just Google Lentulus. Lentunus. Right, Publius Cornelius Lentulus Sura, was from the 114 BC to the 5th of September 63 BC, was one of the chief figures in the Carthaginian conspiracy. Right, well, he actually he died 47 years before Jesus was born. Sorry, 37 years. So he's not describing Jesus. Who is he actually Who is he actually? Oh, right. This is who is he actually describing? Who is this person of fair, wavy hair and blue eyes that he's referring to? Paper Beach Rock. Because honestly, if I'm wrong, I will admit it. So please do tell me. Anyway, thanks for the comment. Happy New Year to you. Dark Corners UK says on Christmas Day live stream. All right, here we go. All right, so. Right. I think. All right. I think I'm here now. All right. Yep. Okay. I've reached the end of Odyssey. I've reached the end of my Odyssey comments. That's good. That's good. 22 days ago. I think. Well, fine. That is. Yeah. I've got. I know because I've got like the comments are. The comment underneath it. Okay. Right. So now we move on to Rumble. Well, I've got a notification for Rumble. Ray Vision Media started following my channel. Thank you very much. Ray Vision Media. Thank you very much. No videos on there. That's okay. So as always with Rumble, I'll go through my recent uploads and then go to my email. You don't actually get notifications for comments. Actually, I think maybe I do. Loading notifications. Sure. Actually, I'll use. They do have a house system now. Right. Sorry. I'll use. Apologies, Rumble. I'll use that. Okay. So reply to comments 88. DJ B2's deleted his comment. All right then. I could get a copy of that because I get email notifications. Because it's DJ B2, I won't bother because I know he's a good guy. New Year Adventure. No comments. Actually, did I go to my comments? No. Let's go to notes. So let me just go to reply to comments notes. Are there any reply to comments notes here? No. Right, no reply to comments notes this time. Okay, no problem. Right, so there's no comments on New Year Adventure. I've been getting more comments on Rumble than I used to, actually. Storm Apocalypse live stream. Oh, we've got quite a few here, right. Oh, it's from X Series. He seems to have X Series appears to have forgiven me. Oh, good. All right. From our little faux pas, which happened a while ago. All right, this is the. All right, I've already been through this. This is the. I have discussed this before with you, X Series. This is the DCClothesline.com environmental modification techniques, climate change manipulation, military use. Yeah, you've already posted me this link, and I've addressed it on a previous video. But thank you very much for that. Much appreciated. Here we go. Right, here's another one. So did I click a thumbs up on that? Yes, I did. I'll click a thumbs up on this one too. We have another comment here from X Series. I'm glad actually you're sort of like seeing things my way now, because I didn't mean any harm to you, X Series. I really didn't. It's just I couldn't publish your comment. My comment about how the mind-controlled MK Ultra asset Dane Wigington is unwillingly skewing the debate in favour for the MIC military industrial complex petrodollar bankster religious fundamentalist complex. Please give me your opinion, Ben. All right. I don't know how that is skewing any debate in favour for what you talk about, because I'm against my MK Ultra and the military industrial complex. Watch Mike Adams' Rumble interview from the 27:33. All right, this is Dane Wigington and Mike Adams. Urgent. All right, okay. Hang on. Is this a right? I hope this is not a link, but it's like it's maybe a malformed URL. I'll just see if it works. Oh no, it's not. Right, from the 27 mark in. This is on Health Ranger Report. I know that channel.
Electrify your metabolism back to teenage levels by eating 1/2 teaspoon of this with ice water.
Good grief.
Ever wanted to lose weight only to lose motivation? It's time to change.
There's no mute button here, and I can't mute, and I can't skip.
Welcome to today's interview on Brighteon.com. I'm Mike Adams, the founder of Brighteon, and today a fan favorite guest
27:31
time for the Arctic blast that's about to strike.
Being burnt off from tip to trunk.
This Dane Wigington, Mike Adams. Okay.
And when people feel how hot and radiant that sun feels when you're in a clear spot of it, and the ozone layer thickness waxes and wanes, so it's not uniform all the time. But the sun is incredibly intense. You can feel it on surfaces. And Mike, you've probably noticed that, right?
Well, right. And also, let's talk about the magnetosphere for a second, because it's not just ozone, the magnetosphere. Right. I interviewed another guest on this the other day. talking about, of course, the weakening of the magnetic field that protects Earth from many of the most dangerous ionizing radiation rays from the sun. So, not only is the ozone deteriorating, but then the magnetosphere is deteriorating.
That's true, yeah.
Which means...
Yeah, so I'm not going to watch all of this now, I'm afraid, X-Series, but I'll watch the rest of it later. But yeah, absolutely, this is all the symptoms that we're in the middle of a pole shift, which could have an enormous effect in terms of radiation. Right, watch this now on Rumble below. Debunks Dane Wigington's dangerous bullshit. Alright, what's this? Here's another URL. Paste and go. Right, this is the X-Series. Oh, that's your... Oh, right, this is the Stephen Greer video. Yeah, I've seen that one, yeah. Thanks very much. I've seen it, yes. It's very interesting. Dane Wigington has been mind-controlled by the psychotronic implants in his body. He was implanted by his former employers, Bechtel Corporation, aka the Cabal MIC. Notice how Dane's eyes are always looking tired in his interviews. That's typical sign symptom of mind control with psychotronic and or radionic manipulation. You unwittingly exposed Dane's BS, Mike Adams, by correcting him. That's not the fake ozone layer, Al Gore disinfo, that is destroyed. It's the magnetosphere, aka ionosphere, which is destroyed. The idiot Dane W does not realise it's impossible to have UV radiation at ground level if you have any kind of the fake ozone layer. The Cabal has destroyed the biosphere, ionosphere to such an extent that if they don't spray the atmosphere with fake clouds, aka chemtrails, our planet will burn up in a matter of months. What's the attached Rumble video above? Oh, okay. Well, I've already watched that actually. It's the one with Stephen Greer, and then it moves on to that Highlander film, I think, if I'm correct, X-Series. But I do actually believe there is a natural process at work here, which is the pole shift. Right? I don't believe this is not being done by the deep state. But no doubt they will take advantage of it. You must understand that a pole shift takes a long time. It can take up to 5,000 years, and we're in the middle of it now. And it's going to affect us for generations to come. But the Earth survives. I mean, what it is the atmosphere maintains. I mean, there's no sign of like mass extinctions at the same time as pole shifts. So presumably the Earth has other ways of protecting itself from radiation. What you will get though is you'll get like problems with electronics, which may be what they're hoping for. But anyway, thank you very much for that very interesting comment there, X-Series. And I do appreciate your contribution. Right, so where am I now? Was that the Storm Apocalypse live stream? I think it was, wasn't it? Oh, yes, it was. Okay. Right. Epstein list of Miami aliens. No comments. No Easy Day book review. No comments. Visiting the Senate. No comments. Okay, what I'll do now is I'll go and check. I'll just check my notifications in Rumble. I'll just check my Rumble notifications for any more comments on maybe older videos that I didn't spot. Let's just go down here, right? You currently subscribe. Currently. Just, so I've got to focus here for a moment. Right, because I get notifications on email for. They do have a house. Oh, I'll try. I was going to try the house system, wasn't I? Yeah. Loading your notifications. Right. Okay. Right, I've done that one. X-Series. Gotcha. Oh, that was on the RT X-Series. DJ B2 show more. Boxing Day live stream channel. Right. I think that's it. Yeah, according to these notifications, do I need to go for the email ones any more than that? I don't think it's probably not actually necessary because of the house notifications on Rumble. I now have, yeah. Alright, this is the X-Series. Yeah, that's just... Okay, that's the comment I've already replied to. Right, in that case, that's it for Rumble. So we just go back to... Now, we're nearly done now. I'll just go back to YouTube and see if any comments have appeared while I've been shooting this particular video, and I'll answer those now. How long going for? 42 minutes. So that's 42 minutes into the third hour. I haven't bothered using the timer. All right. Oh, there's just one. There's a Roy Bland has said here. I'll just give him a love hug because Roy's been very good. He's been very patient with me. Oh no. Let's get the timestamp. He's been very patient with me. Okay, just for clarity, when I wrote the guy received he didn't dial, which is always the way it's done, I meant the person the message is meant for always makes the calls, dials the number. The person the message is meant for dials the number. Right, that's not the case here. It was done in that way to eliminate foul-ups, wrong numbers. Right, oh, you dial the number to access your voicemail, yeah. Is that what you mean? The person the message is meant for makes the call. No, I thought the person sending the message makes the call. Isn't that right? Dials the number. Unless you're talking about the recipient dialing the number for their voicemail. I don't understand. Sorry if that's not quite exactly right. Anyway, that's it. Thank you very much, everyone. That's the end of this 89th reply to comments video. Much appreciated. More coming very soon. I'm going to cover the whole bunker thing. I think that's going to need a video of its own. I've also got some. I'm going to do a little follow-up review debrief of the Meadows video as well. I've got a few more details I want to add, and a couple of other videos. I mean, the idea of a watch party for The Lighthouse, I like. It's a film I've not seen, but looks fascinating. So, yeah, how about that? Okay. Well, thank you all of you for watching HPANWO TV, this reply to comments videos. It's self-explanatory that I couldn't make this video without you and your comments, so thank you very much for them. I've had no rude ones this week, so which is nice. A couple of sarcastic ones, but I don't mind. You know, I'm an ugly ex-hospital porter. I've got a big, you know, I'm pretty resilient, so I don't mind them. Thank you all of you for watching HPANWO TV. Hospital Porters, pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order.
Conspiracies, government cover-ups, Earth mysteries, monster cryptids, psyops, saucers and black triangles, HPANWO.